This has led, obviously, to a lot of conflict, campaigns here calling it voter suppression. But let's hear what the voters themselves have to say about it.
What do you think about the fact that Joe Biden won't be on the ballot?
I wish he was on the ballot. I wish that the Democratic National Committee hadn't made the choice that they made. But New Hampshire's law is New Hampshire's law, and New Hampshire's primary by statute in New Hampshire comes first. And I think that's where we should be, because frankly, this is the only place where in the country where the candidates have to meet people face to face, one-on-one. I think you've even seen that more so with Donald Trump, who traditionally has had large venue events. And now that he has a two-person race, I think he's gone to smaller venues.
Didn't like it at all. Felt disrespected.
That's a big mistake on his part. But, I mean, who's going to run against Joe? I mean, he has the nomination. So it's a 100-year history here in New Hampshire. Like, we have been the first in the nation. And it's not like we're radically one way or the other. Like, we're pretty libertarian. So it was a stupid move, I think, on the president's part. And but anyway, what are you going to do?
Oh, well, I'm disappointed in the DNC and what they've done, but I think that there's a possibility we can get it back.
I can understand why they decided to respect the decision that New Hampshire was no longer number one. But we certainly are not representative of the United States in terms of population and demographics, and I think there probably are other states that are better representatives.
I understand why he was why he went with South Carolina and all that. I think I understand, but again, it's a sense that like New Hampshire isn't important because he didn't, he thought that South Carolina was going to be the first in the nation. So if that's what counts, that's pretty sad. It's crazy.
Well, he'll be on the ballot in November, so that's all that matters right now.
Hey guys, one of the things we're seeing here is that people across the board are just unhappy about this decision by the DNC. These people's votes are not going to be counted. If I had my vote not counted, I would feel a certain way. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, New Hampshire has this history of being the first in the nation like that. And, they're just really disappointed. It seems to be a pretty bipartisan issue. Back to you.
Chris, thank you for that report.
And now to our in-studio panel, Robin Byro, Democratic strategist, and Robert Simon, author of American Refugees. Right off the top here, guys, obviously this is a big issue. I want to play some sound here of Democratic candidate Dean Phillips about the DNC in New Hampshire, the dispute earlier today.
This isn't the practice of democracy that I really am trying to impress upon Democrats, that we should not have a coronation, we should have a competition. And I hope you're telling people also the truth that my party is suppressing voters here. You know this, I hope.
You're talking about the DNC letter.
The DNC has sent a letter to the state here, the New Hampshire Democrats, saying that this is meaningless, despite having a massive write-in operation.
Robin, I want to start with you. One of the voters we saw there exiting the polling station, pretty much saying that Biden is all but going to secure the nomination. Could this move potentially come back to bite the Democrats in a general election if they disenfranchise and some of the Democratic voters feel as such?
Absolutely. And historically, let's look at this. In 2020, Biden placed 5th behind Mayor Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren. Look, he didn't even get to double digits in New Hampshire in 2020. He's not highly favored there. So this could actually really change things tonight as far as the trajectory of his campaign. Now, by the laws, they haven't been able to actually really have a robust write-in campaign. The DNC hasn't pushed it, neither has the Biden campaign. This is being run by an independent outfit. I don't know how this is going to go.
Roger, how are you viewing this? You've watched many campaigns unfold, many primaries. This is rather
it's going to even create more dissension in the Democratic Party, and I think we can look for that going on. It's a long way from May to December, and it's also a long way to the South Carolina primary, because it's a full month that we're going to have. South Carolina saved Biden, incidentally, the last time around.
Jim Clyburn saved Biden.
Jim Clyburn saved
Which is ultimately why we're in this situation right now.
So we're going to find out a lot in the next month, and it's going to be a very interesting interregnum, shall we say.
And there are 22 delegates up for grabs for the Republicans, but none for the Democrats because of this rule change. How is that going to impact the Democratic Party in the general election? Does New Hampshire matter?
This is tricky. So the best I could decipher from everything that I read, there's conflicting information everywhere about this. Normally, the Democratic Party awards 20 delegates to New Hampshire. This time, as a punishment for them holding this, they will only be awarding 10, but only 7 of those will be from the actual public. 1 will be the party chairman. I will just tell you, I was a delegate to Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016. Oh, goodness. But those are typically awarded to party insiders. So it's gonna hurt the average person who just wants to go to a convention for the first time.
And how do you see that playing into the Republican narrative? Are they going to use this as a talking point?
Absolutely. I mean, they'd be fools not to. I mean, they're going to use that especially to take a good shot at winning New Hampshire, which is something of a swing state. But they're also going to use it as a lever to talk about Democratic Party incompetence. And they should, because it smacks of backroom politics. And the American public doesn't like that so much anymore, I hope.
Robin, you mentioned Congressman Clyburn of South Carolina. This whole kind of rearrangement, or arrangement, if you will, is due to what Democrats say, the Democratic, specifically the African American vote in South Carolina, basically a reward for getting Biden the nomination, because he came into Iowa, I think he came in 5th place in Iowa and didn't do well in New Hampshire either. So it was really South Carolina that pushed Biden into his presidency.
Oh, absolutely. South Carolina, Biden knows everything to South Carolina. I was there, boots on the ground, helping at the time, and it was pivotal. It made a tremendous change. And then, of course, now the Jamie Harrison is chairman of the DNC. That plays into a factor as well. He's a good, close personal friend of mine, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was a talk that he and Joe Biden had about, we're going to get South Carolina #1. And to the viewer that was, or the lady in the audience that was questioned, she understood this is about demographics. South Carolina is more representative of the demographics of the country as a whole. New Hampshire, not so much.
Right now, we're going to pull up some numbers. The polls are closed, and the numbers continue to come in. We're going to take a look right now at the top 2 GOP candidates, obviously the only 2 really in the race. There were somewhere around 20 on the ballot, actually. So here you have Donald Trump right now, former president, at 52, close to 53%. Nikki Haley at 45%, almost 46 there, with only 20% of the vote to come in so far. So there's still a long way to go. We're not projecting any winners just yet. We'll have to wait and see. And in Florida and North Carolina, only Biden's name has been added to their ballots, keeping the competition out. Biden won New Hampshire in the 2020 general election. So with that said, right now, we're going to be going over to Dave in just a moment at the Data Hub. But first, Robin, do you see these disenfranchised Democrats, at least in New Hampshire, rethinking their support for the Democratic Party this November?
There's a problem. I've borne witness firsthand to some disenfranchised Democrats. I've got some friends that are
these kids grow so fast. Cherish every little moment you get with them. Tyler, he's 10, and little Daryl, he's 12. Being a single dad, it is hard, really hard. I've been there since day one. I know how it is, not to have nothing. I don't really get paid much. There's been times I went hungry, made sure they ate. There ain't a thing I wouldn't do for them.
Millions of our neighbors are facing hunger. Rising food prices are making it tougher to put food on the table. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill plates with nutritious food for families across America.
At least now I know I gotta, help if I need it.
1 in 5 children face hunger in America, and food costs are rising. We are getting closer to the day when no one in America faces hunger, but we can't do it without you. Call or go online now. Visit helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger, from coast to coast and in your own community. And when you use your credit card, you'll receive this exclusive canvas grocery bag to show you're a part of a movement working together to ensure that everyone has the food and resources we all need to thrive.
If you're hungry, if they got it, they'll feed you. People just gotta realize, places like this do exist that will help you.
Please call now or make your monthly donation at helpfeedingamerica.org. Working together, we can end hunger in America.
The tempting online world is encroaching on our campus. Is unplugging cables and confiscating phones the solution to protect our children? No, we just need a clean multimedia platform. Join Ganjing Campus to leverage premium channel features, professional development courses, and kindness event toolkits tailored for teachers. Build a truly positive and interactive classroom community. Foster a pure and delightful learning environment for children.
Can't believe you're doing this alone. I've done it before. I remember you threw your back out. How you holding up?
Hand me that board.
Nothing wrong with getting help.
I'm good.
I did it when Felicia left.
I'll figure it out.
I know you will, but you don't have to do it alone. That's all I'm saying.
If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence?
Now you need my help.
It can be a real pain sometimes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
And we're back with more coverage of the New Hampshire primary on NTD's The Nation Decides 2024. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meyer. And here with us is NTD's Dave Martin, who's actually branching out tonight. He normally covers sports news, but tonight he's Dave the Data Dude. So on that note, what do you have planned for us?
Tiff, I've got lots planned for you. Let's head over to the touch screen right over here and take a look at New Hampshire. Now, as you can see, this is New Hampshire. These are actually cities and towns. This is not by county. There's actually 10 counties in this state. Now, as you can see, the ones marked in orange, these are the ones that Trump is leading. The ones marked in purple, these are the ones that Haley is leading. Now, as far as population, most of this is in the southeast part of the state. This borders Massachusetts. You've got some coastline here. Boston would be right down here. Now, the northern part is the more urban part of the state. Now, you would think Trump would actually have more support in these kind of rural areas as opposed to more populated places. But actually, in 2016, Trump did well really all over the entire state here. And now, if you remember in 2016, Trump narrowly lost Iowa to Ted Cruz, then had a resounding win right over here in New Hampshire, beating runner-up John Kasich by 20 points. That's significant because Kasich and Nikki Haley have some notable similarities. Haley is projected to finish second to Trump, as did Kasich did 8 years ago. Haley appeals to undeclared voters, also known as independent voters, just as Kasich did. And Haley's been labeled as the establishment candidate, much like Kasich. In any case, this race will be mostly decided, of course, in the biggest cities. So let's take a look at those. Now, the number one most populated city here is Manchester at 115,000 people. Manchester right here. As you can see, half the votes are in roughly, and Trump has a 14% lead over Nikki Haley here. Now, 8 years ago, he won this by 20 points. It was a resounding victory then. Let's look at number two. This is Nashua. Nashua, 90,000 people in this city. Trump won this one also by 20 points 8 years ago. As you can see right now, boy, he's got a narrow 4.5% lead. A little over half of the votes are in right now, so it's a very close race there too. Now let's look at the third most. This is the capital right here, Concord. Look at this, Trump, this is a lot closer in 2016. True, Trump won by 6 points over Kasich. Right now, Haley is leading. 97.5% of the votes are in. She's got a 7-point lead. That one, I would say, we can already call for Haley. And that's where we're at right now. We'll keep you updated periodically, but for now, let's go back to the desk.
Dave, thank you for that, and we'll be coming back to you very soon. But now back to our guests, Robin Byro and Rhonda Simon. Now, actually, looking at multiple polls, the margin between Trump and Haley has been the smallest in New Hampshire, albeit still pretty wide. Let's actually bring up some of that. We have the Suffolk University poll that was conducted just yesterday. Now, Haley has been trying to win over anti-Trump Republicans and also moderates, and she is successfully pulling in some of them. But how sustainable is this? Does she need the MAGA voters? Robin, let's go to you.
The polling shows exactly that. Right now, she's getting about 71% of moderate votes.
Robin, I'm going to just have to interrupt. We're going to go to a feed. Nikki Haley is speaking right now. We're going to bring that feed in on Reuters. We'll get right back.
Blessings is to give back. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you so much. To my siblings, to my in-laws, to everybody back at home, to Vicki for helping me take care of Mom and Dad. Thank you for that. You know, I will tell you, it feels like it's been a lifetime, but it has been almost a year that we've been campaigning in New Hampshire, touching every hand, answering every question, being the last person to leave. And we had the most amazing thing happen is the second that we got the endorsement from Governor Chris Sununu. I mean, a true governor that doesn't stand behind a podium. He shows up at a diner. He shows up at the brewery. He loves the people of New Hampshire. He has been with me every single day at every single event. Chris, I couldn't have done it without you. And I want to thank someone who was with me on day one. He's a patriot. He's a hardcore conservative. And he is my friend, General Don Bolduc. And Sharon, thank you so much.
So, Robin, what do you make of this speech? I mean, it's not typically we see the candidate for either a concession speech or a victory lap. It sounds more like a victory lap here.
You know, I think she's trying to beat Donald Trump to the punch. That's what's going on. She wants to take away the wind out of his sails right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, she's doing it early for a very intelligent, actually, this is strategic. She wants to get on television before people go to sleep, before it could be that Trump numbers will grow. It could be that, we don't know. And so, but this is a moment when she's the closest, and so she seized the day and moved in right. Very smart.
Yeah, look at the numbers. I mean, I predicted that she would be within 7 points, but this, if it holds up, it's going to be closer than that, which is surprising.
In the polling, you know, one of our guests on the previous coverage was Robert Cahaley at Trafalgar Group, and he says when it comes to polling, senior pollster there, he says when it comes to polling, New Hampshire is very, very difficult to poll. And we asked him why. He said that's because they lie to him there, but I don't know.
Well, that's probably true.
It's a thing.
But you know, so the polling, who knows what's going to happen? But right now the numbers don't lie. It's still early, but like you said, it's very close.
It is incredibly close. And look, like I said before she went on, Haley is commanding the lead right now with moderates. She's got 71% of the support of moderates, 17% of conservatives, and it's the exact reverse for Donald Trump.
What we don't know, and it will be interesting to find out, is when he says moderates, whether that's really Democrats. Because, you know, this is a state where you can just come in and vote if you're on the other side. And we don't know to the extent that she's, you know, done that. It'll be interesting to see if there are exit polls that give us a hint to that. But we don't know it yet.
I think another big part is the independents or undeclared in the states. There's 343,192. They can vote in whichever party they want today. We're expecting probably most will vote in the Republican for either Nikki Haley or Trump. How do you see that fitting in, Robin?
That's one thing that fascinates me about New Hampshire is that is the largest voting bloc in the state, is the undeclared voters. I don't know of another state like that. And then it's pretty much split from there and split between Republicans and Democrats. And the other thing that I just learned today is that mentioning people who could maybe just vote if a Republican could vote at a Democrat one, vice versa, they automatically get registered for that party once they do that, unless they fill out a special form. So I'm not sure that we're going to have a lot of spoilers.
Well, you know, it depends on how devoted they are to stopping Trump. And so we're going to have to find that out. I mean, I don't think it's a good system, personally. No. I think it's not exactly what the founders intended. Although it's not in the Constitution either way, so it's not. We don't know what they really intended, but it doesn't seem right to me. And there are a number of states that have systems that are like this.
Well, to your point, you know, the system is different. It's not a closed primary as it is in South Carolina and other states. It's a little bit more complicated than that. The unenrolled voter can just show up at the polling location and decide at that moment which side he wants to go. And as you mentioned, they outnumber Democrats and Republicans, so it's really totally different.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot more to talk about, more numbers to track. We'll be back right after this very short break.
Do you feel the bills getting higher and higher every time you check out at the supermarket? Do you feel your monthly discretionary money has decreased, although your income increases yearly? Inflation is eating away at your wealth. Digital wallets and central bank digital currencies are destroying financial privatization. Only gold and silver are constitutional forms of money. Our privacy was to be protected against unlawful search and seizure. Midas Gold Group will help you take control of your finances and protect your wealth and your privacy. Pulling money out of the corrupt banking and investment system is a way to privatize your finances as the elite push us towards digital wallets and central bank digital currency. Protect your wealth with real money. Deal with the best. Midas Gold Group, a proud America First company. MidasGoldGroup.com.
Car breakdown is no joke.
With parts, labor, and towing, you could be looking at thousands of dollars in bills, darlings. That ain't funny.
If your vehicle's out of warranty, it's not a matter of if, it's when your car will break down.
Unless you call CarShield, America's most trusted auto protection company.
Plans cover up to 5,000 parts and systems and provide protection anywhere in the country with a mechanic or dealership you choose, all for just one low monthly payment.
And with the CarShield guarantee, your rate never goes up and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have.
That's money in your wallet.
Don't pay full price for an expensive repair bill when you could be covered.
For CarShield administrators to save us over $1,000, that's money that I could take and plan my next vacation.
CarShield helped me save over $3,600.
Plans through CarShield can protect most major parts and systems in your car, including the engine, transmission, entertainment system, computers, electronics, and more. For dollars a day, your plan could save you thousands the next time your car needs a repair.
The stressful situation that we thought we were going to have was not there. CarShield administrators took care of everything for us.
If our car breaks down, CarShield administrators have our back.
CarShield's coast-to-coast protection also includes 24/7 emergency roadside services. That means help with lockouts, flat or damaged tires, even towing. When you've got a plan through CarShield, you're only one call away from their best coverage yet.
Having a plan through CarShield means dealing with a live administrator who gets you the help you need with your car.
Including getting that repair bill paid.
Save money and save the hassle.
Call CarShield now, before a breakdown.
Call CarShield and get the CarShield guarantee, where your rate never goes up and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have. But you've got to call CarShield now before your car breaks down. Call 800-587-5179. 800-587-5179.
And welcome back. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meyer. Now, before we check in on our reporter in New Hampshire here at the desk, we've got new guests, Mayor Christine Serrano-Glasner of Mendham Borough, New Jersey, as well as a U.S. Senate candidate in the state. And we also have Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, former Republican campaign advisor and former New Jersey gubernatorial candidate, or Captain America, as we call him. We'll be coming back to both of you shortly, but let's first go to NTD's Iris Tao. Or actually, nope, we're going to NTD's Chris Beers. Chris, what do you have for us?
Hey guys, yeah, the mood is getting more intense here. There's more people in the crowd. The numbers are challenging the number of reporters. As I was saying before, it's kind of small, but it's getting bigger. The Associated Press is saying that about 31% of the vote has been counted. Of those, about 73% of them are unprocessed write-in votes. We don't exactly know who those votes are for, but we can kind of guess that they could be for President Joe Biden. That's because he's not on the ballot here, and there's a campaign here to get him on the ballot. You know, this is due to a conflict. Yeah, and this is due to a conflict between the DNC and New Hampshire that he's not on the ballot, that I mentioned a little bit earlier. You know, more than half of the country is not enthusiastic about a Trump-Biden rematch. But let's just see what voters have to say about it here in the ground in New Hampshire. Back to you guys.
All right, Chris, thank you for that.
And now back to our panel, Mayor Christine Serrano-Glasner and Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. Thank you both for coming. Christine, Trump is swimming in endorsements right now. I want to play a clip of some former candidates who've essentially said, if you can't beat him, join him. It looks like we're going to bring that up for you guys in just a moment. At any rate, you know, how big of an endorsement is Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, Nikki Haley's home state? She actually appointed the senator to his position back when she was governor.
Well, it's significant. The fact that he was running and he said, I know that President Trump is the better man and the candidate that really needs to lead this country. It was logical that he would step out and he would get behind President Trump. That's important, and it shows people in South Carolina that South Carolina needs to stick with Trump, and they will. He's already quite far ahead. I think he's, I think it's 50 to 30, something like that in South Carolina right now. And that is exactly where it's going to go. And it's going to go for Trump. And thank you to Tim Scott for, you know, lending his endorsement.
Lieutenant, it wasn't just the senator. At one of the rallies over the weekend in New Hampshire, the former president brought in a plane load of South Carolina members of Congress, the governor, and others. How big of a blow do you think this is to Nikki Haley, considering they all come from her home state?
Steve, the biggest endorsement Donald Trump received is from the American people. The American people are behind him on his left side and his right side and in front of him leading the charge. We saw that happen in Iowa. We're seeing it happen tonight in New Hampshire, and we're going to see it sweep across the country. The American people have endorsed Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States. Nobody could do better than that.
On the note of endorsements, another former challenger to President Trump was Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, Trump has actually said that he could be getting a cabinet position potentially. Now, part of what made Ramaswamy a unique candidate was how he was reaching out to the younger voters. He even got some flack for using TikTok, especially as every candidate seemed to want to out-hawk, China-hawk each other. But how beneficial could Ramaswamy be to Trump in this race if he potentially becomes VP?
He definitely brings a younger voter, absolutely. With his tech background, and younger voters really have been paying attention to social media and TikTok, and that's where we need to reach out to them. He was very popular. He was rambunctious, and he had a lot to say, but he certainly was popular, and he took his percentage of the vote, and he knew the right thing to do. He was always in favor of President Trump. You could see that in the debates. He was very forward and honest about his approval of what President Trump has done, and it's important that he's on board now. And it's going to show. It's going to show with the younger voters.
And expanding on that, Lieutenant, what made Ramaswamy's campaign, what did he do right? Because even Trump said in the Iowa caucus he went from 0 to 8% of the Iowa caucus vote. What did Ramaswamy do right?
Christine just nailed it. He reached out to young people. He spoke their language. He talked to them. I wasn't necessarily in favor of the guy, but I got to tell you something. He was exciting to watch and to see. And I'm not a young guy anymore. Think about that one.
Well, there's another one now. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who just dropped out a few days before this race. Now, what are we going to see in terms of him? Did he potentially hurt his 2028 race by joining this race? What are your thoughts on that?
Or did he get out just in time?
Well, or should he have gotten out before? He tried, but look, he just never got past the starting mark. He really didn't, and it was very disappointing. The right thing for him to do was to get behind President Trump. Had he done it sooner, I think it would have benefited him more. He just could not capture the voters. President Trump, fortunately, has done the right thing. He's been so gracious. If you notice, he's really changed his tone. And I hope people are paying attention to that, because that's the one thing that people used to say that were not in favor of him. They didn't like the things that he would say or he would tweet. All of that has really changed. And so his relationship will be repaired with Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis did the right thing. And, we'll have to see what happens in the future for his career.
We're going to continue this great discussion in just a moment. Right now, we're going to go for a live report from NTD's Iris Tao, who was at the Trump watch party in New Hampshire. Iris, as the numbers start to come in, what are you hearing and what is the vibe like right now where you are?
Good evening to all of you, and as you can see right now at this watch party, the crowd is getting bigger, and we actually just heard cheers from the crowd moments ago as media projections came in about Trump's projected victory here in New Hampshire. And as the crowd cheered, we also saw former President Trump posting on Truth Social saying Nikki Haley said she had to win in the New Hampshire, but she didn't. Meanwhile, Nikki Haley actually in her speech just now congratulated Trump on doing a good job, and also, but she insisted that she's not dropping out, saying this race is far from over and that she looks forward to her home state winning in South Carolina, which is primary is on February 24th. So a lot happening in the just last few minutes here. And of course, we also have been going to a lot of Trump rallies here in New Hampshire in the days leading up to this primary. And we talked to their supporters about what they care about the most and why they're voting for President Trump. Let's hear some of what they have to say to us. Watch. And what is one issue that matters to you the most in a 2024 election?
The border. The border.
For sure.
They need to get that border closed so that we can get things back the way they're supposed to be here. We can't afford to support the whole world.
And immigration, get that under control. They can't just come into the country.
Food is unaffordable, gas is outrageous, housing is nearly impossible. Add into that everything with the drugs going on and then the immigration. We just need to pump our brakes and get back to basics.
Freedom. This country and the world is in an existential struggle for freedom. Digital currency. They can shut off our money when we don't agree with what they are pushing.
Immigration, number one.
Oil, get the oil flowing. He has to do that. We've become a dependent country on other countries to bring the oil in. He has to bring China into control. There's going to be more wars breaking out. If he doesn't get in there, Ukraine has to stop. Israel has to stop.
Plus, corruption in this world, in this country especially.
It's like every issue. The border, the economy, what they're doing to the kids.
And as these media projections are coming in about a projected Trump win here in New Hampshire, we remember that back in Iowa, the media outlets also called Trump's win very early in the night, and that prompted some protests, if not complaints, from Governor Ron DeSantis, who was still running against former President Trump back then. So far, we have not heard Nikki Haley complaining about the early calling Trump's victory, but let's see what she's going to say later tonight. Back to you.
Great reporting out there, Iris. We'll continue to check in with Iris Tao throughout the evening. And when we return, our reporter Chris Beers with an update for us and a lot more after this short break.
be screwed by lesser spine institutes who bait you with minimally invasive procedures, then switch to screws, rods, disc replacements, and hardware. At Bonati, no metal hardware fusions are ever used. Bonati invented the precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
Car breakdown is no joke.
With parts, labor, and towing, you could be looking at thousands of dollars in bills, darlings. That ain't funny.
If your vehicle's out of warranty, it's not a matter of if, it's when your car will break down.
Unless you call CarShield, America's most trusted auto protection company.
Plans cover up to 5,000 parts and systems and provide protection anywhere in the country with a mechanic or dealership you choose, all for just one low monthly payment.
And with the CarShield guarantee, your rate never goes up and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have.
That's money in your wallet.
Don't pay full price for an expensive repair bill when you could be covered.
For CarShield administrators to save us over $1,000, that's money that I could take and plan my next vacation.
CarShield helped me save over $3,600.
Plans through CarShield can protect most major parts and systems in your car, including the engine, transmission, entertainment system, computers, electronics, and more. For dollars a day, your plan could save you thousands the next time your car needs a repair.
The stressful situation that we thought we were going to have was not there. CarShield administrators took care of everything for us.
If our car breaks down, CarShield administrators have our back.
CarShield's coast-to-coast protection also includes 24/7 emergency roadside services. That means help with lockouts, flat or damaged tires, even towing. When you've got a plan through CarShield, you're only one call away from their best coverage yet.
Having a plan through CarShield means dealing with a live administrator who'll get you the help you need with your car.
Including getting that repair bill paid.
Save money and save the hassle.
Call CarShield now, before a breakdown.
Call CarShield and get the CarShield guarantee, where your rate never goes up and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have. But you've got to call CarShield now before your car breaks down. Call 800-587-5179. 800-587-5179.
And welcome back to our special live coverage of the First in the Nation primary. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meyer.
We've got Chris Beers connecting with us right now. Chris, what's going on out there? Give us an update.
Hey guys, yeah, it's getting exciting here. The crowd is getting bigger, and Dean Phillips is just beginning to speak. We're expecting to hear a lot from him tonight. We'll be able to report to you what he said earlier, what he said later on tonight. This race comes at a time when most Americans, the majority of Americans, do not want to see former President Trump, President Biden rematch. But, let's hear what voters have to say about 4 more years of President Biden.
4 more years of President Joe Biden. What do you think about that?
I think he needs to have some strong people around him.
I'm not happy about either Biden or Trump. I hope Nikki wins, but that will take an act of God, which that's happened before.
Sure. And why aren't you happy about that?
The divisiveness. Both candidates are super divisive and could really use somebody who can work across the aisles and who's younger. Like, let's face it, everybody knows 80-year-old guys are. I mean, I'm 60 and I don't feel like I have full capacity. So 80, they shouldn't be at the helm.
I don't want to face that either, but I think Nikki Haley would do a good job.
Not very enthusiastic. I mean, he hasn't seemed to do anything one way or another. So, 4 more years of not much doesn't sound good to me.
I think it's the safest option.
I can live with that. Yeah, I think that he actually has done some major accomplishments that we're not feeling yet.
I think his age is a factor. I think he's done his best. I don't envy anybody that job.
I'd rather have somebody like, somebody younger, somebody like Jason Crow or something like that, who's not connected to any.
Hey guys, regardless of what people think about 4 more years of President Biden, we just heard Dean Phillips congratulate President Biden. He's saying that, Biden won the New Hampshire primary here. We'll probably see Biden on the ballot. He's polling at about 75% nationwide, at about 60% here in New Hampshire. New Hampshire, this gap between Biden, between the nation and New Hampshire can be explained by, the fact that New Hampshire voters are a little more independent-minded. It's a live free or die state, so they're more kind of open to newer, more experimental candidates like Dean Phillips. He's campaigning on this progressive ticket. He actually sent out text messages to former Bernie Sanders voters, trying to appeal to them. Well, that's all I have for now here in New Hampshire. Back to you in New York.
Chris Beers at the Democratic candidate, Congressman Dean Phillips, watch party there. Thank you, Chris.
And let's go to the Data Hub now for some touchscreen fun. Dave, what do you have for us?
Welcome back. I've got some updated numbers, but first, let's take a look at Salem. Now, this is a town of approximately about 30,000 people, but it's an interesting one. Trump took this town by a wide margin in 2016, nearly 40 points. It was a huge win. But Salem is also notable because Governor Sununu is from there. In fact, his whole political family is from there as well. But he's endorsed Haley. I mean, she's had him on her campaign trail in New Hampshire. The question is, will it make a difference? Unfortunately, we don't have the data in yet, but this is something we will keep an eye on for sure. Let's take a look at those most populous cities again, starting with Manchester. This is 115,000. Now, Trump, he won this by 20 points 8 years ago. He's got a 15-point lead there right now over Nikki Haley. A little over half of the votes are in, so this is somewhat the same anyway as 8 years ago. Let's take a look at another one. This is Nashua, 90,000, second most populous city in New Hampshire. Sorry, that's Wyndham. Let's look at Nashua instead. This is Nashua right there. There we go. Nashua, 70% of the votes are in approximately. Trump has a 7-point lead over Haley right there. That's another big race to be following. And let's also look at Concord, the capital. Haley has a 7-point lead. This one, Trump actually took this one 8 years ago over Kasich. He won it by 6 points. So it was a pretty slim margin there. But this one's 98% of the votes are in. So it looks pretty definitive. That's actually where we're at now. We'll continue to keep you updated periodically. But for now, let's go back to the desk.
Dave, thank you for that update.
And back now to our guest, Christine Serrano-Glasner, mayor of Mendham Borough, New Jersey, as well as U.S. Senate candidate and Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. Thank you both for joining us here. Right now we're seeing, Christine, this post-Iowa caucus torrent of endorsements that we were talking about for Trump, mainly about killing potential Nikki Haley momentum in New Hampshire. How significant do you think these endorsements will ultimately be? And folks like Senator Marco Rubio, obviously in Trump's camp, waited until a certain point in time. What type of strategy do you see behind that?
Well, for New Hampshire, obviously, the early endorsements, I think, have made a huge difference. And this is why he's winning New Hampshire. This is why he's going to win New Hampshire. Nikki Haley did have Governor Sununu, but a governor in their own state is not always as popular as people think they are. They don't always bring voters to the table, and I think that's going to be the case tonight. Very interesting little fact, Donald Trump will be the first person in history to win New Hampshire 3 times. First person. I mean, that's incredible, right? And that says something about where the people are, where the American people are right now, and what they're looking for their future.
I want to touch on that aspect of voter turnout. You just mentioned Trump's history right there, right? Now, we have a poll from USA Today and Suffolk University that found 44% of GOP primary voters were, quote, very enthusiastic about Trump feeding into the turnout that you just mentioned. Only 18% of Democratic primary voters said the same about Biden. How do you see that playing out in terms of not just this election, but the general election?
There's no doubt in my mind that because of what we've gone through under the Biden administration, that independents, Democrat conservatives, and obviously Republicans are going to go all for a Republican candidate. In this case, it'll be Donald Trump. And the down ballots, very important. You're talking about the Senate, you're talking about the Congress. Look, when I was on this broadcast during the Iowa debate, I believe, and I'll repeat what I said before, the American people want stability. They want to know they can wake up in the morning and have a stable government. When Donald Trump gave that speech after the Iowa victory, it was one of the greatest speeches he made. He was talking unity. He was bringing people together. If he stays on that theme, as Christine said earlier, you're going to see lots of Democrats defecting and going Republican.
Right now, why don't we pull up the top two GOP candidates, obviously Donald Trump and Nikki Haley, and take a look at the numbers as they continue to come in. Looks like there's 31% of the vote in right now. Not moving too much here. Still about an 8-point spread, give or take. And, is this to be expected, Mayor?
Well, Donald Trump won with 18% of the vote in 2016. I think it's highly possible he could break that this time. I mean, we have to wait and see what happens with the votes coming in, but I think it's possible. And I think that this is just an example of what Steve said. People are looking for something different. They want to know that they have a future for their children, for their grandchildren. And right now with this current administration, there's been no plan. Really, everything, they have passed legislation after legislation. They have increased the deficit, and they have been on a spending spree. But there's no plan behind any of that. People are looking for security. They're looking for safety, and they're looking for a future. And so this is a result of that. That's what you're seeing right now in New Hampshire.
Lieutenant Rogers, if things stay as they are now with Trump up by about 8 points, do you think this will ultimately be enough for Nikki Haley to concede and endorse former President Trump?
In my mind, it is. I mean, when we saw the a massive victory he had in Iowa, we're going to see a victory tonight for the good of the country. These politicians make me laugh. I'm running for the good of the country. Well, if Nikki Haley wants to do what's good for the country, in my view, after tonight, I think it's time to hang it up and get with the American people, get with them. Let's get President Trump reelected.
And on that note, we have a lot more coming up, an on-the-ground update that you don't want to miss, so don't go away. We'll be coming back really soon.
I go by Jackie. I'm 44 years old. I had 3 kids at the time and single mother. I was working 60 hours a week, still couldn't pay the bills. I'd skip meals so that they could eat. It's been hard because one thing falls into place, 10 things fall out of place. I just can't do this alone and make it work.
1 in 5 children face hunger in America, and food costs are rising. But everyone needs nourishing food to thrive, and they can when we work together so our neighbors can feed their families. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill plates with nutritious food for families across America.
One day my mother came over to my house and said, "There's a meeting at the pantry." I said, "Okay," and I went. There were some ladies in there. They were from the food bank. They asked several questions. Some of those were about me and my story, but it helped me to open up a little bit.
We're getting closer to the day when no one in America faces hunger, but we can't do it without you. Call or go online now. Visit helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger, from coast to coast and in your own community. And when you give by credit card, we'll send you this exclusive canvas grocery bag to show you are a part of a movement of supporters working together to help end hunger.
I have people that I can trust. I have hope.
Please call now or make your monthly donation at helpfeedingamerica.org. Working together, we can end hunger in America.
Are you ready to help your family get prepared for the unexpected?
Everyone in? Here we go!
Ladybug and Cat Noir know how important it is to be ready. Because you never know when Hawkmoth is going to strike, or a disaster will hit. And you don't need miraculous powers. Just put those planning skills you already have to good use. Know who to call, decide on a safe meeting location, and create an emergency preparedness kit. Make a plan that will help you and your family be ready when emergencies happen. Ready Kids can help.
I'm coming to save you!
Get started at ready.gov/kids.
And we're back on The Nation Decides 2024. Right now, let's check in with NTD's Iris Tao, who's in New Hampshire at the Trump Watch Party. Okay, Iris, we'll be checking in with her shortly, but right now we'll go back to our panel, Lieutenant Rogers, Robin Byro. Let's talk about, the numbers here. We're seeing, not as much of a blowout as a lot of those polls were telling us. So with an eight-point spread, do you see any new pathways for Nikki Haley?
This is so tough. And look, I grew up in South Carolina. She was my governor for a number of years. And it kind of breaks my heart. I'm a true blue Democrat, but it breaks my heart that she's heading into South Carolina down for the count. I don't think she's going to win the Palmetto State. So I'm hoping, like I said earlier in the show, I think it'll be about 7 points. This is about the best she can hope to do here. I think her best bet is to see how long the money lasts and ride it out to see what the courts do.
And Lieutenant, what do you make of the difference that we're seeing? The numbers are much closer tonight than what the polls have been saying. What do you attribute to that fact?
I never trust polls. Never trust them. There's your answer.
Never again.
Right, Brian. But look at whether it's 1 point or 7 points, a win is a win, and that's what counts at the end of the day. She ran a good campaign. Like I said earlier, this may be time to say, let's join the team. Let's get on the team and beat the Democrats.
Now, Trump has stuck to his no debate strategy. Now, if he does keep at it, do you see this hurting him if Haley starts challenging him to do those one-on-ones?
No, not at all. This is his shtick, and he's good at it. Frankly, it's worked for him, and I don't see him abandoning that at all. She would love to debate him. Her best hope is to maybe get Biden on a debate stage.
Robin, Nikki's one of her biggest, I guess, criticisms of former President Trump would be that he is the chaos candidate. Wasn't quite calling him that. I think the message shifts from Iowa to New Hampshire, but that was the message in New Hampshire. And she also mentions his age, very similar age to President Biden. How much of a factor do you see these two things being in a general election?
I'll be honest with you. In a general election, she's the best bet the Republicans have to beat Joe Biden. I'll be completely honest with you, because she attracts so many moderate voters. I myself would be interested to see what she would have to say, but it's just tricky. I don't really know how to answer that.
Do you agree with that? Is Nikki Haley the best bet?
I don't think so, because the American people at this point don't think so. By the way, she calls Donald Trump the chaos president. The president who has created chaos from coast to coast and from north to south is Joe Biden. That's the individual who's caused chaos. And Nikki Haley should remember Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment. I say that quite often. Thou shalt not speak bad about any other Republican, because she may end up endorsing Donald Trump before we know it.
Given how the race is turning out with Nikki Haley and Trump going head-to-head, are we going to see that kind of a scenario where she endorses Trump?
Oh, I believe we will. I believe she has a future in politics. And like Robin said, we don't count her out in the future. But if you want a future in politics, you know what? Be a team player. But the team is the American people at this point, not just a political party.
Robin, I want to zoom into some numbers here now. Not back in the day, but a while ago, because you were actually on Obama's team,
Yes.
86% of undecided voters actually moved to Obama in the final days before the 2012 election, and they did that because they said social media played a huge role. How do you see that fitting into this election cycle?
Things can change in a matter of minutes, hours. With social media. This is the digital age. They can unearth a new video. Look at Mitt Romney and some of the viral moments that he had when they uncovered the secret audio, tanked his campaign. So, social media and the digital age can change things in an instant with this. And frankly, Nikki Haley needs that. I think she's doing better tonight than I anticipated, and that gives me hope. She's got a tough road ahead.
On that note, Alex Conan, he's a veteran of GOP campaigns, was telling Axios that the press for her as in Nikki Haley the last 72 hours has been better than any Republicans' press in the last 8 years. You see that as playing into why those numbers are much closer than polls were predicting?
Yes, she's gaining momentum from positive earned media. Anyone running for office depends on earned media. She's getting that right now. She was smart to stay in the race as long as she has, and as long as there is money, I think she should stay in there just to see what happens with the court cases.
Look, the lawsuits, the courtroom drama, I mean, all of this the American people are focused on, that's helping Donald Trump. The Democrats are helping Donald Trump by going after him because the American people are the underdog now in this 21st century. And they're painting Donald Trump as the underdog so they could relate to him. So all the polls and all the social media stuff, they're not watching as the world turns anymore, folks. They're watching Donald Trump and the courtroom drama. The longest reality TV show in American history has taken place before our time to Donald Trump's benefit.
And he loves playing the underdog. That's where he's the most comfortable.
Yes.
Let's talk about some policy issues when it comes to the economy, energy, and foreign policy. Those are three core issues that conservative and Republican voters are going to be driven to the polls on. So, who do you think stands out between Nikki Haley and Donald Trump when it comes to the border?
Well, you look at Donald Trump's record regarding not only the border, but all of the other policies, but you mentioned the border. He was talking about building the wall. He was talking about catch and deport, not catch and release. Every promise he made with regard to the border and foreign policy, he absolutely kept his word. Now she was ambassador to the UN. I wasn't too thrilled about her kind of appeasing China, if you will. Not much about the wall when she was UN ambassador. So at the end of the day, I think it's hands down, he's the foreign policy guy.
We'll be back with our panel in just a moment. There's still so much more to cover. Dave's been over there cooking something up at the Data Hub. We'll be back shortly to see what he's got.
Car breakdown is no joke.
With parts, labor, and towing, you could be looking at thousands of dollars in bills, darlings. That ain't funny.
If your vehicle's out of warranty, it's not a matter of if, it's when your car will break down.
Unless you call CarShield, America's most trusted auto protection company.
Plans cover up to 5,000 parts and systems and provide protection anywhere in the country with a mechanic or dealership you choose, all for just one low monthly payment.
And with the CarShield guarantee, your rate never goes up and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have.
That's money in your wallet.
Don't pay full price for an expensive repair bill when you could be covered.
For CarShield administrators to save us over $1,000, that's money that I could take and plan my next vacation.
CarShield helped me save over $3,600.
Plans through CarShield can protect most major parts and systems in your car, including the engine, transmission, entertainment system, computers, electronics, and more. For dollars a day, your plan could save you thousands the next time your car needs a repair.
The stressful situation that we thought we were going to have was not there. CarShield administrators took care of everything for us.
If our car breaks down, CarShield administrators have our back.
CarShield's coast-to-coast protection also includes 24/7 emergency roadside services. That means help with lockouts, flat or damaged tires, even towing. When you've got a plan through CarShield, you're only one call away from their best coverage yet.
Having a plan through CarShield means dealing with a live administrator who gets you the help you need with your car.
Including getting that repair bill paid.
Save money and save the hassle.
Call CarShield now, before a breakdown.
Call CarShield and get the CarShield guarantee, where your rate never goes up and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have. But you've got to call CarShield now before your car breaks down. Call 800-587-5179. 800-587-5179.
All right, I'm at the house, and I'm gonna head inside. Okay, come on, this door. I'm in the house.
What do you see?
Let me check the den. There's nothing in the den. Let me check the kitchen. There's no one downstairs, it looks like.
Wait, what was that?
I don't know. Let me head upstairs.
What do you see?
What the? Did you shut this bathroom door?
No.
Oh,
What?
It's not here.
What do you mean?
The gun's not here.
What? Where is it?
Oh my God.
What's going on?
Cam.
Oh my God, what's going
Cameron, are you in there? Open the door. Cam, please, please, open the door, Cameron. Come on, Cam.
Welcome back. We're going now to Dave Martin at the Data Hub. Now, this is NTD's special live coverage of the Nation Decides 2024 New Hampshire primary night. Now, Dave, how is Nikki Haley doing in terms of the moderate to liberal voters?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's take a look at a Suffolk University poll for the New Hampshire primary, if we can bring that up now, guys. This poll found that Haley has a lot of support from moderate and liberal voters. I mean, that's 72% among liberals, 67% among moderates. She also did better with undeclared voters as well. Now, Trump didn't score well with that group, but he scored very well among all voters, 57% to 38% for Haley. So that seemed pretty decisive anyway. But a little bit different than what we're seeing now.
And how is Haley doing in terms of the college towns?
Yeah, well, let's look at maybe the most notable one. This is Hanover, site of Dartmouth University. Look at this, 86% for Nikki Haley right here. That's quite a number there. Now, granted, there's only like less than 2,000 votes here, but this is 95% of them done. This is a huge margin for Haley. That's notable because most college towns are more towards moderate voters, and this definitely speaks of it right here.
All right, well, Dave, thank you for that. And Steve, back to you on the desk.
Nice job, guys, and crunching those numbers. Let's catch up with Chris Beers, who's at the Dean Phillips Watch Party. Chris, if you're with us, what's the latest over there?
Yeah, hey guys, like I was saying before, Dean Phillips was speaking. I'm just going to recap his speech a little bit. He was started by saying that Joe Biden, is a good man. Earlier he said, congratulating Joe Biden, basically acknowledging that Joe Biden won the state in the New Hampshire primary here. He said that he went from about 7% to 21% here in about 9 hours, really looking at that as a huge win. Again, this is a candidate that's polling in the single digits nationwide. He went into some of the issues that are of interest to his campaign, talking about health insurance, commenting on how so many people are going bankrupt due to high medical costs, critiquing the cost of drugs in the country, talking about 500,000 homeless people in the country. He had this really interesting idea where he mentioned this American Dream account, where basically when somebody's born, he puts the federal government puts $1,000 into an account that sits in the stock market, that can grow and mature as they get older, and they can eventually gain access to in the future to help pull people out of poverty. He recently was at a Trump rally, and he spoke with Trump voters, and he during his speech he seemed to try to create this really open, welcoming, friendly mood, not just to Democrats but to Republicans as well. He spoke about how, talking sort of to Trump supporters, you're my friend, and you are a patriot too, he said. Also, earlier I wanted to just talk about, earlier I spoke to White House correspondent Mela Khan for the Epoch Times. Let's watch that. Mela Khan, thank you so much for joining us. You've been on the ground talking to voters here in New Hampshire. What have they been telling you?
Yes, I have been talking to voters in Manchester today, and it's really interesting group of people here. They are concerned about President Biden's age, and they're also concerned about border. So that's why they're supporting, some of them are supporting candidates like Dean Phillips. And yeah, it's easy to see it here because of the nature of the population here. Large independent voters are not really big supporters of President Biden or President Trump.
Got it. And what other kinds of issues are you hearing people talk about? There's so much going on in the world right now.
Well, biggest issue is that they want peace in Gaza, especially young voters. And also they have cost of living, which is a big issue for them. And mortgage rates are high, and house affordability is a big issue when you speak with young voters. And as a matter of fact, I spoke with a young voter today who's a registered Democrat. He said that he put on the ballot ceasefire now for Gaza. So that was her vote, and to make a message, to give a message to politicians, basically. She said that she didn't like any of the candidates.
Okay, yeah, and we're here at the Dean Phillips campaign watch party tonight. Out there, when you're talking to voters, has anybody mentioned Dean Phillips? He's polling in the single digits nationwide, so I'm just want to get your read on that.
Well, this state could be the best hope for Dean Phillips because this state has a lot of independent voters who could support him, and they see him as a young candidate who could challenge President Biden, and that's why they are supporting him.
Okay. And, you know, from what I've been hearing about New Hampshire voters is that they kind of make up their mind last minute. They're not early deciders. Have you been hearing any of this kind of back and forth about who to choose here at the last minute in people's minds?
Yes, I mean, there are a lot of, people like that. They are confused, and they do emphasize the fact that border is a big issue, and it has actually toppled many issues in the country at the moment, including abortion.
Okay. And can you just compare and contrast the electorate of New Hampshire versus Iowa? We just focused so much coverage on Iowa, the whole world. Now we're in New Hampshire, but they're very different places.
Yes, and we see a lot of independent voters here, and this is a very crucial state for people like Dean Phillips, and so they want to make the last effort to show that, especially for Dean Phillips, he's the candidate that could challenge Biden, and this is the platform that he could do that. And that was the case for Nikki Haley as well, and we will see tonight the results.
All right, thank you so much, Mela Khan. Hey guys, and again, the campaign is really wrapping up its event here. There's no more music. It's getting quiet. Press is going home. Dean Phillips really acknowledged Joe Biden winning the Democratic New Hampshire primary here. Now it's all about Nikki Haley and Donald Trump. Nikki Haley is, the only person to go one-on-one with Donald Trump in the election so far, so it should be pretty interesting. Stay tuned, everyone, and back to you in New York.
Things certainly winding down there at the Dean Phillips watch party. Thank you, Chris, and welcome back, Tiff. You seem to be having a lot of fun over at the Data Hub.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Dave's a fun guy. What can I say?
Absolutely. Turning now to our panel, we have Robin Byro and Lieutenant Rogers. There's been some speculation in this race that Democrats actually want Trump to win the nomination, but Biden's trailing him in multiple swing state polls by 4 points or more. Is it time to put this theory to rest? JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon said this not too long ago. I want to get your reaction on the other side, panel. Okay, so to that point, right now with the way things are unfolding, what do you make of the CEO of JP Morgan's comment?
I actually couldn't hear it in my ear, but I already know what he's going to say. And the fact, it's always going to be about...
Let me play the shot for you.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll play the soundbite and get your reaction.
I don't think they're voting for Trump because of his family values. Now, if you look, just take a step back, be honest. He was kind of right about NATO, kind of right about immigration. Mm-hmm. He grew the economy quite well.
China virus.
Tax reform worked. Mm-hmm. He was right about some of China. You should always ask the why, not like it's a binary thing. You're supporting Trump, you're not supporting Trump. And I think this negative talk about MAGA is going to hurt Biden's election campaign.
Are some prominent Democrats coming around for former President Trump?
No, I don't believe that to be the case at all. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is always his worst enemy, and it's his mouth, and that's going to be what my party is hoping will tank his campaign in the general election, because I do anticipate him being the nominee. Let's face it. This is a real truth talk here, but we're hoping that he is the nominee because we can use some of that against him. It's always his mouth that gets him in trouble.
On that note, in terms of voter turnout, there's this poll from USA Today's Suffolk University that found 44% of GOP primary voters were very enthusiastic about Trump, compared to only 18% of Democratic primary voters. Now, is that just because it's the primary, or how are we going to see that play out in terms of the general election?
My biggest concern for the general election is the fact that my party, the Democratic Party, has lost a huge amount of support from the black community. And I see that all the time, especially in Metro Atlanta, where I live. The black community is frustrated right now with the Biden administration. It's palpable. I have them complaining to me, thinking that I have something to do with that, and I could get Biden on the line. So it's tough, and we honestly, truth talk here. Former President Trump would be smart to pick a black VP nominee to capitalize on our weakness right now.
Why do you think they're frustrated?
I can't exactly. They say that Biden hasn't done enough for them specifically as a community, and I can't really tell what they mean by that. And there was leaked audio, if you remember, the leaked audio of there was like a Zoom call that he had with a bunch of black faith leaders, where Biden was said, "Look, I've gone to bat for you guys. I've done this and this and this and this." But the general sentiment from the community that I'm hearing, and people complaining to me directly, is that he hasn't done enough for the black community.
And if they are complaining to you, did they tell you what he does need to do to get back
criminal
that vote?
justice reform? They think that Donald Trump was better on criminal justice reform than Donald Trump. And I imagine you might have something to say about that.
Oh, I sure do.
Well,
look,
let's let you jump in.
This idea about the Democrats, and Robin said the Democrats would like to see Trump elected, right? Let me tell you something. Democrats are victimized by crime, just like Republicans. Women, children, men who are victimized by the vicious, murderous criminals roaming the streets of this country are being victimized just like Republicans. My point is this: we're all Americans at the end of the day. We all want to be safe. We all want a leader who's going to make us safe. Joe Biden and the Democrat Party has failed on every single front. Our bank accounts are not safe. Our jobs are not safe. Our streets are not safe. Compare that to Donald Trump's record when he was in office. Now I can see why the Democrats want Donald Trump elected. They're going to feel safe.
Now, what about Nikki Haley's comments that we need a generational change, that both of these leaders would be too old? How do you see that fitting in? Who would be the Democratic nominee that's younger in that case?
There isn't one. I was wondering myself in the lead to the break, is Dean Phillips maybe thinking that Joe Biden might have a health issue or something? Why is he still hanging in there? But I was shocked to learn that there were actually 21 people on the ballot in New Hampshire. So, some of these people, I can't figure out why they're running. Why go through that?
There are rumblings of a potential situation unfolding at the convention where Michelle Obama
I knew you were going to say
emerges.
That. I knew you were going to say that.
Could she be a formidable candidate? Name recognition's there.
Yeah, and they still have a power grip in the Democratic Party, let's be real. So I think that's wild.
You seem happy about that prospect.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's wild speculation, and Lieutenant Steve said that we know as a nation, this is our new drama, right? This is our new soap opera. So this gets the people talking, and it's a wild prospect, but it would be amazing. But I don't see it happening.
But if that were to happen, how would that impact, say, Trump if he's the nominee? Would that impact him?
Not at all. Nothing impacts Donald Trump. You know, and
Teflon Don.
Yeah, I mean, he has the American people with him. But, you know, let's talk about that age factor, since I'm kind of getting up there. The Bible, there's a scripture that says, don't dismiss the wisdom of the gray crowns, you know. I think that age brings a lot of experience and wisdom. Of course, Ronald Reagan, I always point to him. He was very, you know, he was older and he was losing, you know, his mental capacity at the end. But we've got to give everybody a chance in this country, no matter what age they are. And if halfway through their term, we find that they can no longer work as president, we have the 25th Amendment. We have a constitutional protection to protect our country.
Well, some hot takes right there, but don't go anywhere because the coverage doesn't end. We have more from New Hampshire with Iris Tao when we come back, so stick around.
I had a pretty normal mom life. Everything was pretty good, and it was a very happy life.
And we just had a new baby. And then all of a sudden, within a day or two, she's on life support and fighting for her life.
And I knew something was pretty wrong. A little less than a week after I came home, I couldn't breathe. That's when we decided to go to the hospital. I was given the diagnosis that I had peripartum cardiomyopathy, which is basically a pregnancy-induced heart failure. They told me my only chance was a heart transplant.
And the American Heart Association helped make that possible. Their research helped save me.
This could not happen without monthly donations from friends like you. Your sustained support helps fund life-saving research that leads to medical breakthroughs, like those that gave Jen a second chance at life. Heart disease is the #1 killer in America, and we urgently need your help to save lives. Go to helpheart.org or call now to become a monthly donor today. Your donation of only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, will make a difference through prevention, early detection, treatments, and cures that help save lives.
I am very thankful for the American Heart Association. I'm grateful for just every day that I get with my children.
Please go to helpheart.org or call now with your donation of just $19 a month. Join our community of monthly donors, and you'll get this limited edition t-shirt you could wear to show you're helping save lives.
One simple act today can save your life or the life of a loved one.
So please, call or go to helpheart.org now to help save lives.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow. Towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
We won New Hampshire 3 times now, three. We win it every time. We win the primary, we win the generals, we've won it, and it's a very, very special place to me. It's very important. If you remember in 2016, we came here and we needed that win, and we won by 21 points, and it was great. And today, I have to tell you, it was very interesting because I said, wow, what a great victory. But then somebody ran up to the stage all dressed up nicely when it was at 7, but now I just walked up and it's at 14. But she ran up when it was 7, and you know, we have to do what's good for our party. And she was up and I said, wow, she's doing like a speech like she won. She didn't win, she lost. And you know, a last week we had a little bit of a problem, and if you remember, Ron was very upset because she ran up and she pretended she won Iowa. And I looked around, I said, didn't she come in third? Yeah, she came in third. And then I looked at the polls. She was talking about most winnability, who's going to win, and I had one put up. I don't know if you see it, but I have one put up. We've won almost every single poll in the last 3 months against crooked Joe Biden. Almost every poll. And she doesn't win those polls. And she doesn't win those. This is not your typical victory speech, but let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad night. She had a very bad night. And you have the now very unpopular governor of this state. This guy, he's got to be on something. I've never seen anybody with energy. He's like hopscotch. And, I'm watching this guy, and 2 weeks ago he said, we're going to win in the landslide, we're going to win. About 3 days ago he started saying, well, we want to do well. That's a big difference. But I walked out just now, we're 14 points up, and I don't know what it's going to be. But when she was up here, it was like 6 or 7. And, with like 7% of the vote counted. Now, let me just tell you, we had an unbelievable week last week in Iowa. We set a record. It was the best in the history of the caucus, in the history. And I remember I sort of had the same feeling. I'm up and I'm watching, and I said, she's taking a victory lap. And we beat her so badly, but Ron beat her also. Ron came in second and he left. She came in third and she's still hanging around. The other thing, she only got 25% of the Republican votes. I don't know if you saw that. Tremendous numbers of independents came out because in this state, because you have a governor that doesn't frankly know what the hell he's doing in this state, in the Republican primary, they accept Democrats to vote. In fact, I think they had 4,000 Democrats before October 6th. They already voted. Now, they're only voting because they want to make me look as bad as possible. Because if you remember, we won in 2016. And if you really remember, and if you want to play it straight, we also won in 2020. By more. And we did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016. But as they said, we lost by a whisker, just by a whisker. No. But we can't let that happen. You have to have people that speak up. I said, I can go up and I can say to everybody, oh, thank you for the victory. It's wonderful. Or I can go up and say, who the hell was the imposter that went up on the stage before and claimed a victory? She did very poorly, actually. She had to win. The governor said, she's going to win, she's going to win, she's going to win. Then she failed badly. Now, I have here, if he promises to do it in a minute or less, but the only person more angry than, let's say me, but I don't get too angry, I get even. The only person, because he was there, and he did fantastically well, by the way, and then he endorsed me. And we don't have to talk about Tim Scott, who, by the way, just got engaged, we have to tell you. And that's more important than all of this stuff. But a man that got to know her very well is Vivek. I said, Vivek, go up and say a few words about it. He has to do it in 1 minute or less, and then we're going to just say, we had one hell of a night tonight. And one other thing, before Vivek comes, do you see that poll? We're going to put it up. We have beaten Biden. You could almost say, who can't? Who the hell can't? The man can't put two sentences together. He can't find the stairs off a stage. Who can't? But Vivek, 1 minute or less. Go do it, Vivek.
What we saw tonight is America first defeating America last. That's what we saw tonight. If you want America last, you can go to Joe Biden. You got another candidate still apparently in the Republican primary. Cut your Social Security to fork over more money to Ukraine so some kleptocrat can buy a bigger house. Go to Nikki Haley. But you know who delivered a double-digit victory tonight? It is a double-digit victory as of right now, is this man, Donald J. Trump, the leader of America First. And that means something. Now, USA and Donald Trump, America First. Now, I got 30 seconds left. I want to make this point here, okay? We got to say this right. What we see right now with her continuing in this race is the ugly underbelly of American politics, where the mega donors are trying to do one thing when we the people say another. And it's up to us, we the people, to at long last say, hell no. We the people create a government that is accountable to us. And we the people have said tonight we want, again, as we did in Iowa, Donald J. Trump. And so you want to actually speak truth. That's the truth tonight. And the only thing they're rooting for is an ugly thing that we don't want to see happen. That's what these people are rooting for, is playing to say long enough so the Reid Hoffmans and the ugly Democratic George Soros Jr.'s who are funding the lawsuits against Trump can prop up their puppet. We say no to that vision. I say the general election begins tonight, and this man will win it in a landslide. God bless you, Donald J. Trump. Vote Trump, USA.
Very nice. Wasn't that nice? So, this was a great evening, and I want to thank everybody in the audience, and I want to thank the people that are standing behind me. You know, I think we called it right. Immigration's a big deal, a very big deal. We have millions and millions of people flowing into our country illegally. We have no idea who the hell they are. They come from prisons, and they come from mental institutions, and it's just killing our country. And I'm talking about millions and millions and millions. They are drug dealers, they're everybody. And they come in just like walking right through. There's nobody to check, and there's nobody to vet. And we have a man with us tonight, Tom Homan, who is central casting. He's central casting. And I'd like you to say a few words about the border and who's going to solve that problem and how quick are we going to do it, Tom? Go ahead, please.
Look, I worked for 6 presidents down around Reagan, and every president I ever worked for did something to secure the border. But no one did more than President Trump, the most secure border in my lifetime. The most secure border we've ever seen. And Donald Trump's going to do it again. We're going to lock the border down, and we're going to protect Americans. Because what's happening at the border right now, a record number of Americans have died from fentanyl poisoning. A record number of migrants have died. A record number of women and children have been sex trafficked. A record number of known suspected terrorists across the border. There's one man who's proven he can secure the border, and he's standing to my left, Donald J. Trump. He's going to do it again.
Thank you very much, Tom. So this is an evening that I will not forget because it's the 3rd time, but more importantly, I think it's going to be the most important time. We won both. It was, I think somebody said if you win both, they've never had a loser. Let me put it that way. When you win Iowa and you win New Hampshire, they've never had a loss. There's never been. So we're not going to be the first, I can tell you. And I just do want to reiterate the polls. We're way up on everybody. We're way up on Biden. And over the last couple of months, if you check, and you have to remember, in 2016, they were saying, oh, what does he know about elections? He's not going to win. He can't win. He can't. Well, we won. And we got millions, and you can check this, and I hope the cameras don't turn off because they hate this, but we got millions and millions of more votes the second time. Right, Mr. Congressman? Millions and millions of more votes. And but we had COVID, and they used COVID to cheat, and they did a lot of other things too. We're not going to let that happen, and that's still going along. We don't forget. You can never forget history, because if you forget, you never recover from it, and you repeat, and we're not going to repeat. We're going to have the greatest election success. We're going to turn our country around. If you take a look throughout the history of our country, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of this not great country right now. It's a country in decline. It's a troubled country. It's a failing country, frankly. But if you took the 10 worst presidents and put them together, the 10 worst, absolutely 10 worst. I used to say 5. Remember, I'd say 5. Then I said, wait a minute, we can add another 5. They would not have done the damage that crooked Joe Biden has done to our wonderful country. They would not have done the damage. There's never been anything like it. And you say, are they stupid people? I don't think so, because nobody can cheat that well if they're stupid. Do they hate our country? They must hate our country, because there's no other reason that they can be doing the things they do. Take a look. The taxes, they want to raise your taxes times 4. They want to let the Trump tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, they want them to expire. Your taxes are going to go through the roof. You take a look at regulations. They're throwing regulations. You can't breathe. You can't even breathe with what they're doing. You take a look at our border. So bad. There's never been a border like this in the world. 4 years ago, we had the safest, best border in the United States. I built hundreds of miles of border wall. And they always say, oh, he didn't build hundreds of miles, because if there's a board laying on the ground, they say that's a renovation. They call it a renovation. If there's 2 nails laying from 50 years ago, they say, oh, that was a renovation. These are very dishonest people, and you're always fighting them. And just a little note to Nikki. She's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes. And I could tell you 5 reasons why already. Not big reasons. A little stuff that she doesn't want to talk about. But she will be under investigation within minutes. And so would Ron have been. But he decided to get out. He decided to get out. Now, Vivek, I don't think would be at all, because he's perfect, right? And Tim Scott, I know would never. That's no chance. Hey, Tim, do you want to say something? Come on, come on. I want him to say something.
New Hampshire. The president said a double-digit win in New Hampshire, and you delivered a double-digit win for President Trump. But I'm going to invite you to my home state starting tomorrow, where this election is over. It is time for the Republican Party to coalesce around our nominee and the next president of the United States, Donald Trump. Let's get that party started tonight.
What a good guy. What a good man he is. But just remember, I did hear Nikki say, and now it's off to South Carolina. Well, I love South Carolina. I love it. But, you know, she forgot one thing. She forgot one thing. Next week, it's Nevada. Next week, it's Nevada. It's not South Carolina. We love South Carolina, but next week, it's Nevada. And I'm pleased to announce we just won Nevada. We just won 100%. Because all of them, they looked at it and they took polls, and I was polling at 95% to 4 or 5%, and they decided not to play in Nevada. So we just won Nevada. We have a man from Nevada here, Steve Wynn, wherever he may be, and John Paulson, the great John Paulson, made plenty of money in Nevada. Doesn't live there, but he makes a hell of a lot of money. He makes money everywhere he goes, actually. So money machine. Maybe we'll put you, you know what? Put him at Treasury. You want to make a little money? Let's put you. Anyways, good to have you guys. But we go to Nevada, and that's been won, so we pick up all of those delegates. And then we do go to South Carolina, where we've done really well, where I've done well. We have a great governor and lieutenant governor and great everything, because almost every one of them have endorsed me. 2 great senators, which is hard. I mean, did you ever think that she actually appointed you, Tim? And think of it, appointed, and you're the senator of his state, and she endorsed me. You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great politician. That's why he's a great politician. So this is a great evening, and it is, you know, we are going to Nevada for a little while. We're not going to have to do too much. We have a great team there, but it's a team that we can now send someplace else. They did a fantastic job, but and it's a fantastic place, really a fantastic place. But we'll be leaving there very quickly. We'll head out to South Carolina, where I think we're going to win easily. I think we're 50 points up, 5-0. 5-0, 50 points up on a person that was governor. That tells you something. But I felt I should do this because I find in life you can't let people get away with bullshit, okay? You can't. You just can't do that. And when I watched her in the fancy dress that probably wasn't so fancy come up, I said, what's she doing? We won. And she did the same thing last week, but he was much more angry about it than I was. I said, get up there and you let him know. We are going to win this. We have no choice. If we don't win, I think our country is finished. I do. I believe our country is finished. We have an opportunity to do something so amazing. And the good news, and the reason we have such support, the best numbers I've ever had, the reason we have support is because they are so bad at what they're doing and so evil, and they're destroying our country. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank this group of people. We will never forget you. We will never forget. And I made a pledge. I made a pledge to your state that you have the highest energy costs in the country. In the first year, they're going to be reduced by 50% because we are going to drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. Inflation's going to come way down, but in the first year, your energy costs are going down by 50%. Thank you very much. We love you. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on the trail. And thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. We will see you on the trail. Thanks.
Question remains, where is the off-ramp for Nikki Haley? The former president commenting that Nikki basically gave her victory speech earlier, although she's down, significantly here with 50%, roughly 50% of the vote in. Right now, we're going to toss it to NTD's Iris Tao, who is there at the Trump Watch party where former President Trump just spoke. Iris, tell us what we need to know.
Right, so as you just heard from him, he was touting tonight's projected victory, saying he has won New Hampshire by 3 times now. And he also saying that it's a historic pattern, which is, as we talked about before in the program, that in history, nobody has lost a nomination if they won both Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary. So Trump is saying that he's not going to be the first one to break this historic pattern, meaning he's pretty confident about winning the nomination. Meanwhile, it's also very interesting to see the dynamics on the stage as former rivals of President Trump took the stage with him to altogether tout his victory tonight. We heard Trump taking aim at Nikki Haley, saying she had a very bad night, that she failed badly, and also, but on a contrast, for those who actually dropped out of the race and gone on to endorse Trump, Trump took a very different tone on them in calling Vivek Ramaswamy perfect at one point. And actually to Vivek, he also said that he also has just 1 minute to speak, but Vivek, of course, gave a long speech and touting what he calls a double-digit victory for Trump as of now, and also saying the general election begins tonight. And to Ron DeSantis, Trump said that Ron left the race before Nikki Haley did, which is, of course, before Nikki Haley would do, and of course, that's he says it's a very smart choice. And to Tim Scott, Trump was also joking about him saying, of course, Tim Scott was put into the Senate by Nikki Haley, but now Tim Scott is endorsing him over Nikki Haley, and Trump saying he must hate Haley. Tim Scott replying, no, he actually just loves Trump. So very interesting dynamics among the former presidential rivals to Trump on the stage tonight. And of course, the ultimate theme here is what's looking forward to the general election in November. Trump already trying to refute Nikki Haley's claim that he's less electable than Nikki Haley, saying actually he's beating Joe Biden in polls more than Nikki Haley does. And so November is actually the biggest topic here, as that's what the Trump surrogates have been telling me as well, including Vivek Ramaswamy and Carrie Lake. They told me that tonight's race in New Hampshire is very important because the electorate here is actually more moderate, actually resemble what we might expect in the general election in November, where there are more independents and more undeclared voters than Republicans. So tonight's race, they say if Trump wins, which of course he is looking like he will now, it means that Trump has a very high chance of doing well in the general election in November, and that's exactly what Trump is trying to send this message about, that he's actually going on to the other stage, which is Nevada, South Carolina, and after winning the nomination, he's confident that he can beat President Joe Biden in November. And back to you.
And Denise, Iris Tao, great reporting from the Team Trump watch party there in New Hampshire. We're back in studio with our familiar faces here. Mayor Christine Serrano-Glasner of Mendocino, New Jersey, mayor there, and U.S. Senate candidate, mind you. And Roger Simon, author of American Refugees and Epoch Times columnist. So guys, Mayor, I'll start with you. Watching the former president's speech, he was flanked there by his son Eric. You also had Senator Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, and others, perhaps setting up for certain cabinet positions, if you will.
Well, it certainly could be, but we won't know that for a while, will we? Because we've got to focus on the race ahead. He's got to win before he can appoint any cabinet positions. And it's looking very good, and we need it to continue to look good. And I know he's going to do well in Nevada. That's the next state, and he's going to do great in South Carolina. Nikki Haley, she didn't do that great tonight. He pointed that out. We're seeing that with the numbers. The numbers are going to turn into double-digit numbers, and hopefully she'll do the right thing. It's really time, and Tim Scott keeps saying it, we've got to coalesce around one candidate. As a party, we've got to decide that the country is in trouble enough that we've got to fix this, and that means everybody getting together. Nikki Haley already said that she would not run, remember this, she would not run if Donald Trump decided to run. And she went back on her word. So hopefully, although she's saying she's staying in the race, maybe she'll go back on this word and she will actually finally get out.
Roger Simon, where is the off-ramp for Nikki Haley? Where do you see her
Well,
exiting?
a lot of it is going to depend on her financial backers. And that's a very suspicious thing, because there's a lot of talk that she's being backed by Democratic people, and they want her to stay in just to damage Trump. So that's going to complicate matters. And politicians have egos, and she's going to seize on this in some way. I mean, if she ends up, and I agree with the mayor, that it's going to be double digits. And the fact that it's going to be double digits means it ain't happening for her, because it's going to be very bad in South Carolina, an embarrassment, because she's the ex-governor and she's going to get killed there. But these other people who are, I have to say, evil, really, want to pour tons of money into this woman's ego trip. So it's a very odd situation. The off-ramp is now. If she were, the off-ramp for Governor DeSantis was last week, and the off-ramp for her is now, but she's not going to take it.
On the makeup of this state having independents vote in this election, we also did see 4,000 Democrats change party affiliation before the deadline of October last year. Now, there were 343,192 undeclared that could vote in either. How do you see that fitting into how the results turned out today, but also the DNC rule change with the Democratic votes not getting them any delegates? Do you see that playing into how close those numbers are?
It's interesting. The Democrats basically, as far as I'm concerned, shoot themselves in the foot because it's a constant manipulation. They needed South Carolina for Joe Biden. The whole thing was all about trying to get Joe Biden back in, right? But obviously, they didn't have those organic numbers, or they wouldn't have done this. They wouldn't have manipulated New Hampshire, which we all know it's their state law that says they have to be first in the nation. They never should have done this because all it did was highlight and bring to attention that they're disingenuous. They're not really about the power for the people voting for who they want to vote for. They're about manipulating to maintain that power for themselves. That's all that I see.
Absolutely true. Well, there's something else going on too, and that is there are a lot of Democrats unhappy with Biden, and there's a whole kind of talk about Michelle Obama jumping into the race. All these things are going on at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that factors into this, and I think that there's going to be explosions in the Democratic Party. I think what's going to happen, if I were being Nostradamus for 10 seconds, is that the Republicans are going to sort this out pretty quickly. Haley just can't stand up past South Carolina. That's it.
Well, Ron DeSantis said it, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said
but
there was no...
the Democrats are going to have real issues going down the line.
You're right. He said there was no path to victory for him. Where's her path to victory?
Right? It's a very fascinating discussion. We're going to get back to Roger's crystal ball in just a moment. But right now, Chris Beers, NTD's Chris Beers, is at Dean Phillips' watch party there. We're going to check in with him on the ground in New Hampshire. Chris?
Hey guys, yeah, the Dean Phillips watch party is pretty much wrapping up here. The crowd is about, 1/20th of what it was at the height. The Associated Press has said about 50% of the vote is in. About 60% of that is unprocessed write-in votes, but we can pretty much guess that those are going to come in for Biden. Biden's not on the ballot here due to the conflict between the DNC and South Carolina that I was talking about earlier. But there is a campaign to write in Joe Biden on the ballot, and that's why we can expect many of those 60% of the write-in ballots to come in for Biden. Dean Phillips is has about 20% of the vote, again, according to the AP. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, Phillips himself congratulated Joe Biden for winning the New Hampshire primary. Basically, the next stop for the Democratic primary is South Carolina. We will see you there, and back to you in New York.
NTD's Chris Beers, excellent job on the ground in New Hampshire. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.
First time I came in here was Monday, and today is Thursday. I've had
other streaming platforms.
Hi everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have live agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin with us in the Help Center. So Tom, phones are really busy over there. Tell us what kind of calls you're seeing.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the call center with you. We always enjoy talking to the viewers and getting folks the compensation that they deserve. You know, we're seeing calls about all kinds of accidents, but the most common by far has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You'll speak with a live person. They'll answer any questions you have and tell you if you have a case and how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Take advantage of this opportunity and
Welcome back to The Nation Decides 2024, our special live coverage. We're at the Data Hub right now with Dave Martin. Dave, former President Trump looks like he's on the verge of making history. Break it down for us.
Yeah, should he win tonight, and it's obviously looking good right now, he would be the first non-incumbent candidate, that means not a sitting president, to win both the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary. That's never been done before. Now, looking at the map here, there's obviously a lot of orange you've got around here. If this continues, I'm sure that'll be a selling point by Trump, going forward, and why wouldn't it?
Dave, who do we have in orange and purple here?
Yeah, the orange, this is Trump. The purple here, these are the Haley victories. As you can see, like probably half of the counties have come in. But yeah, these are the bigger ones here. Manchester, 115,000. This is Nashua, that's 90,000. Those are the two biggest cities in New Hampshire.
It's really interesting. It's very sporadic. I mean, from what I understood, you have a lot of the rural areas in northern New Hampshire, which are traditionally Trump. What's going on in the capital, Concord?
Yeah, Concord. This is where Tim Scott actually endorsed Trump. Now, Trump won this by 6 points in 2016. This time, though, it's not going well for him, though. Nikki Haley actually has a 7-point lead. 99% of the votes are in. She's got a 7-point lead over Trump. Obviously, that looks like she's going to wrap that one up there. One of her wins in New Hampshire, though.
Fascinating stuff. Dave Martin, thank you so much. We're going to go back to Tiff at the desk.
Thank you. And now we're going to check in with Iris Tao, who's at Trump's watch party in New Hampshire. Iris, what is the latest there?
Good evening to all of you. So we just heard former President Trump giving his speech, and just earlier tonight at this Trump campaign watch party in Nashua, New Hampshire, we talked to Carrie Lake, a candidate for the U.S. Senate who is a big supporter of former President Trump, who has been actually campaigning with him for the past few days here in New Hampshire. She told me that tonight's turnout and what she's seen from the exit polls actually shows that Trump might have a big chance of winning in November. Let's take a look. Carrie Lake, thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here. What an epic night. What a huge night. President Trump, immediately when the polls close, is the victor. This is going to be a night that will go down in history. President Trump, we're learning from all the exit polling that more independents and Democrats showed up to vote in this incredible Republican primary than ever before in history. And they're voting for President Trump. This is huge. This is the end of the road for Nikki Haley. This is going to be an incredible defeat, and it's time for her to drop out. She's going to take a humiliating loss in Nevada. She's going to take a humiliating loss in South Carolina. And the globalists, the multi-billionaire donors who have done anything but everything except support the president that the people want, are going to have to come around President Trump, because tonight is the night that the people take back their country. And I'm so proud to be an America First candidate, a supporter of President Trump, and a supporter of this great country.
A win tonight, how do you think a win tonight would affect the general election outcome in November?
Well, I hope that Nikki Haley even gives herself one glance in the mirror and says, it's over. This has been a vanity project, an ego trip from the beginning. She's been funded by the globalists, the WEF, and all kinds of people who are not for the U.S. Constitution and the American people. And we are so ready to get our country back. Everybody, you can see it by the exit polling with the outturn of the Democrat and independent voter. Everybody in this country, everybody in New Hampshire knows that we're heading off a cliff. They know that we're heading in the wrong direction. And they know that life was better 4 years ago. And they also know that the one guy who can return us back to our rights, our freedoms, and our country is President Trump. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of his fight. I'm so proud that he gets up every day, and despite the fake news media hitting him for 8 years straight, and the swamp going after him for 8 years straight, that he stands up every day and says, I'm going to go out there and fight for the American people. I couldn't be more proud tonight. We just came from Iowa, a huge victory there. We're here because I'm in the state of Arizona, and we realize that if we don't get President Trump back in the White House, our border, we don't have a shot on our border. We don't have a shot with someone like Nikki Haley to secure our border. She's working for the globalists. They don't want a secure border. And the one guy who gave us a secure border was President Trump. And so I'm here because Arizonans want President Trump back in the White House. And in order for me to be successful in the U.S. Senate and help save Arizona and secure Arizona, we got to have a guy like Donald Trump in the White House.
And we heard right there that Carrie Lake is calling on Nikki Haley to drop out of the race, especially after tonight's defeat here in New Hampshire, where Nikki Haley really spent a lot of efforts focusing on. But former President Trump told me yesterday, right before his rally, before Tuesday's primary, and saying that it's actually up to Nikki Haley whether or not to drop out. Also added today that he never called on any of his rivals to drop out. But he did tell Fox in an interview that if Nikki Haley does not drop out, we have to waste money instead of spending it on Biden, which is our focus. So a lot to watch for after tonight when it comes to Nevada, where Trump is expected to win. Of course, in South Carolina, a home state of Nikki Haley, Nikki Haley is vowing to stay in the race at least through the South Carolina race. Back to you.
Iris, thank you for that update.
And back to our in-studio panel with Robin Byro and Roger Simon. Robin, you know, it seemed like we had dueling victory speeches tonight in the GOP primary, but only one person won. What do you make of it?
I want to say right now, during the break, I went and checked the campaign finance portal for both Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. Donald Trump right now is sitting on a war chest of $19,952,000. Nikki Haley is sitting on $7,057,000. With $7 million in the bank, she's not going anywhere. That campaign will not end until there's no money left. That's how campaigns work.
It's not just about the dollars, Roger. I mean, one of the reasons why DeSantis said that he dropped out is because his staff just lost motivation. Do you think that Nikki's...
It's not just the dollars, but Robin's right. It's, you know, the man who knew the most was the old journalist H.L. Mencken from the 90s, who said, when somebody says it's not about the money, it's about the money.
Yeah.
But I also agree with you. It's not just about the money in this thing. It's about ego and the need to do it. And, you know, she still has some of that in her. And I think she may try to hang on. But Robin's right, $7 million isn't going to go very far, even in South Carolina. We have no question that Trump can replenish his money. That's not an issue. I mean, either that or he'll get a loan from Vivek Ramaswamy. One of the
Actually, I could see that happening. But yeah, she's not going anywhere until she burns through that $7 million.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about South Carolina, but in Trump's speech, he brought up Nevada. What role does Nevada play?
Well, Nevada is another caucus state, and the thing about Nevada is it's known for its corruption because it's Las Vegas. But the interesting thing is that this year there's a lot of talk that Nevada could really go into the Republican camp, because there's a lot of discontent in those unions that usually control Nevada politics, meaning the unions of all the staffs for the hotels and the casinos, which are gigantic number of people. I mean, they're huge employee unions, and they're run by tough union bosses. But now it seems that there's discontent in the rank and file, as there is actually in several unions now. They're all going more Trump, and that's something to look for in Nevada.
And that's in the general election that you're referring to.
No, but also in the it'll also affect the caucus, I believe.
And you know, one of the big storylines that we're not talking about as much right now, but is the drama that took place with the Democrats inside of New Hampshire. Do you see this situation affecting Biden? We don't know what the numbers are yet. I mean, another question is, how well did President Biden do? Because people will be looking at that as well. Keep in mind, it's a write-in.
It is a write-in, and like I said, it couldn't be coordinated with the DNC nor the Biden campaign. This had to be done independently. But Biden, it was a clean sweep for him. But
does he need to win by 50%?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, anything below that shows a lack of enthusiasm for him within the base, and I am seeing that currently. That's my concern. But he's got an enormous campaign war chest right now of $89 million. That's a ton of money.
That's very significant.
Who would you like to see run for the Democrats if it were not Biden?
If it were not Biden?
Yeah.
Someone younger. I would love to see a female. I mean, you're talking to a Hillary Clinton delegate, so I wanted a first female president. I would love to see a female, honestly. But that's why, I mean, I'm a Democrat, right? True blue, but I'm from the Palmetto State. And, you know, I would pay attention and listen to what Nikki Haley would have to say. And I've got to tell you, I haven't seen Donald Trump do a lot to try and get the support he'll need in the general election from crossover voters. I think Nikki Haley can capitalize on that.
And that's why she might be up for a VP pick, potentially, depending on when she decides to concede. We're going to get back to this discussion in a moment. We'll be right back with more coverage of The Nation Decides 2024.
Did you know ESG is impacting every part of your life? From rising gas prices to global food shortages to out-of-control inflation, even losing your freedom of speech and being censored on the internet. It's all being driven by ESG ideology. Who's in control? What can you do about it? Find out in The Shadow State, the first documentary exposing ESG. The ESG movement of governments and corporations operates in the shadows. Only the light of truth can expose it. Watch The Shadow State documentary, streaming now.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022, and the threats go way beyond just credit card fraud. Today's identity thieves can use your information in ways that are easy to miss by just monitoring accounts and credit, like opening loans, transferring home titles, even committing crimes.
Someone got my social security number, made a driver's license, and it was used for criminal activity.
You can do so much with a social security number that I didn't know could happen. They drained my bank account. It was terrifying.
You're even more vulnerable than you realize. Your information is exposed through online shopping, banking, even corporate data breaches. No wonder there's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. Only LifeLock alerts you to the widest volume of threats all in one place, like someone trying to use your social security number, open a new loan in your name, or even commit a crime in your name.
There was a big yes button and there was a big no button. I clicked, that's not me, and LifeLock took it from there.
If you become a victim of identity theft, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will be assigned to your case and work to fix the issue on your behalf.
If something happens, you have somebody fighting for you.
All LifeLock members are backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds, personal expenses, and coverage for lawyers and experts up to $1 million. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. With LifeLock, it's easy to help protect yourself.
I will be with LifeLock forever.
Join the millions of people already protected by LifeLock. And for a limited time, save 25% on your first year with promo code 25TV. All plans include a 60-day money-back guarantee.
Call 800-710-7496
or visit lifelock.com/25TV to save 25% on your first year of identity theft protection. Enroll now.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back to NTD's special live coverage of The Nation Decides 2024. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meyer, and let's check in with NTD's Dave Martin over at the Data Hub. Dave, what do you have for us?
Welcome back. You know, in 2016, Trump did very well across the state, winning the rural areas up here as well as the more populated urban areas down in the southeast. Let's check out the 3 most populous cities, starting with Manchester. It was 115,000. As you can see here, 84% of the votes have been counted. Trump with a big win here, 15% over Nikki Haley. We'll call that one. Now let's look at the second biggest one. That's Nashua right down here. This is a population of 90,000. Sorry, that one's Hudson. This is Nashua. 69% of the votes are in. Trump's got a 7-point lead over Haley right here. As you can see, 69%, more than 2/3 of the votes are in. Now let's look at Concord, the third biggest. As you can see, this one is actually, Haley has got the lead here. 99% of the votes in. This was obviously taken by her. 52 to 45. Haley's got the lead here over Trump. So that's where we're at right now. Obviously, we'll continue to keep you updated for now. Let's go back to the desk.
Dave, thank you for that update. And let's come back to our guests. We have Robin Byro and Roger Simon. Now, one topic that might be a little too ahead of the time, but Trump's potential VP pick now. Trump's press secretary on Fox put out some names. A few names have come up in the press. Elise Stefanik, Tucker Carlson, Kristi Noem, Vivek Ramaswamy, a former challenger there. Who do you think Trump wants and who does he need?
Well, what he says, and I think he knows that as someone who could be president. Because look, the man's 77. I mean, things happen, and I think the public wants that kind of reassurance. He knows that. And by the way, a name that was omitted from that short list that I would put on it and fits the bill of someone who could be president is Ben Carson. In fact,
former HUD secretary.
You know, you hear all kinds of rumors about who he's picked, and you hear, I've heard Sebastian Gorka says he knows because he was told by Trump. Maybe he was, but also Trump could change his mind between now and then. We all change our minds about things, but I would throw Ben Carson into that list because he's quite an impressive human being, and I think he gives a kind of gravitas that I think the public would like to see.
I have something to say about that. Who was over Donald Trump's shoulder the second he got out on that stage? Tim Scott. Tim Scott is the one that I said a week ago should be the nominee because he's got tremendous support in South Carolina. That's where Trump's headed. And we just saw him. I'm sure it had nothing to do, there was no political expediency to the surprise engagement that just happened a few days ago. But Tim Scott, I think would be a good bet. And like I said, the Democratic Party, my party, has bled support from the black community. They have gone over to Donald Trump.
For good reason.
A chunk of them. They would be smart to capitalize on that by putting in a black VP nominee. And I think it would be Tim Scott.
Do you see Tim Scott being a good
Oh,
VP?
of course. He's been talked about a lot. But the reason I say Carson is more interesting, well, first of all, I don't think there's any chance that Trump in the general election will lose South Carolina any more than he's going to lose my state of Tennessee. He's got those locked up. But Ben Carson is sort of up there. He's the guy that you see in the advertisements. If you can be smart like Ben Carson, and he's a neurosurgeon. Maybe that's me. Maybe I want to see someone like that in the vice president. But that.
You also have to listen to Donald Trump's own words, and he himself said that whoever the nominee is going to be will not be surprising. It will not, and it will mean basically nothing. He said that that's because he wants all of the attention to be on himself. We know this, right?
Well, not just that, because it rarely does mean anything. Historically, people vote for the president, but I think now, especially if Biden runs, if he puts a good person in a vice presidency, it's going to be very helpful because everyone's going to think Biden kicks off, we've got Kamala as the president. That's a terrifying thought. Can you imagine Kamala Harris talking to Xi Jinping?
You mentioned the former HUD secretary, Ben Carson.
Yeah.
Former President Trump obviously values loyalty. He says that. One of the few cabinet members who lasted the full term.
Time, yeah.
You know, one thing I want to get your thoughts on, Robin, is when it comes to some of the swing states. President Biden not polling that well right now in states like Michigan. What does he have to do? Does he have to change course in his campaigning to start to rally some of those swing state voters in the Rust Belt and elsewhere?
Biden has the luxury of not having to worry about a primary, frankly. I mean, we're seeing this tonight. So Biden needs to focus on the general election right now, and he needs to be focusing on he's got the majority of the Democratic vote, but what matters is getting the moderates and some of the independent voters, he's got to win over those. I don't see Donald Trump reaching out to those people. I see him reaching out to his base and making the case because he does have a primary to win.
On that note, though, we did see President Biden recently admitting to the press there is a, quote, crisis at the border. We're seeing with exit polls that immigration and the economy are the top concerns for voters right now. In what way would we see the Biden administration maybe change course on, say, border policies to get those votes?
They have got, look, bless their hearts, as Nikki Haley herself said, the Democratic Party is no good at messaging. We have allowed the Republican Party to create that it's just a fact now that there's an open border. Joe Biden has done nothing to try and counteract that. He's done nothing to talk about what we're doing, what his administration is doing for border security. So it is now just baked in the cake that there is actually a wide open border, which is not actually the case. We do have border patrol agents.
Have you been there?
We do have. There's record members of apprehensions and seizures.
I have been to the border. Yo hablo español, and I can tell you something. It's open.
We got some hot takes right there, but don't go anywhere because we'll be right back with The Nation Decides.
I go by Jackie. I'm 44 years old. I had 3 kids at the time and single mother. I was working 60 hours a week, still couldn't pay the bills. Skipped meals so that they could eat. It's been hard because one thing falls into place, 10 things fall out of place. You know, I just can't do this alone and make it work.
1 in 5 children face hunger in America, and food costs are rising. But everyone needs nourishing food to thrive, and they can when we work together so our neighbors can feed their families. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill plates with nutritious food for families across America.
One day my mother came over to my house and said, "There's a meeting at the pantry." I said, "Okay," and I went. There were some ladies in there. They were from the food bank. They asked several questions. Some of those were about me and my story, but it helped me to open up a little bit.
We're getting closer to the day when no one in America faces hunger, but we can't do it without you. Call or go online now. Visit helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger, from coast to coast and in your own community. And when you give by credit card, we'll send you this exclusive canvas grocery bag to show you are a part of a movement of supporters working together to help end hunger.
I have people that I can trust. I have hope.
Please call now or make your monthly donation at helpfeedingamerica.org. Working together, we can end hunger in America.
We've been spending a lot more time than ever at home these days. So maybe now you've just noticed cold air coming in from a couple windows, or that your patio door isn't closing fully, which means you're losing heat in the winter, losing cooling in the summer, losing money all year long. And that means now is the time for new windows and patio doors from Renewal by Andersen. Most installations are usually done in just one day. Renewal by Andersen windows and doors can help lower your heating bills and air conditioning bills with their most energy efficient glass available. Only their windows are made with Fibrex material, proven to be 2 times stronger than vinyl. and they're backed by a 20-year warranty. And right now, when you buy one window or patio door, get one at 40% off. Plus, there's no money down, no payments for 12 months, and no interest for 12 months. Plus, an additional $200 off your entire purchase.
1-800-218-1510.
Welcome back, and thank you for following our special coverage of the New Hampshire primary on NTD's The Nation Decides 2024.
And now let's go check in with Iris Tao with more on her on-the-ground reporting. What is the latest over there, Iris?
Good evening to all of you. So as you can see, the room is pretty much emptied out behind me at this Trump campaign's watch party here in Nashua, New Hampshire. Trump gave a rather short speech. The crowd was very excited, taking pictures, of course cheering, and of course celebrating Trump's victory tonight. And meanwhile, Trump just took to social to again take aim at Nikki Haley, saying Nikki Haley came in last, not second. Meanwhile, before Trump's speech, we actually talked to Vivek Ramaswamy, who later took the stage along with Trump tonight. We talked to him about what tonight's victory would mean for a general election and also about how unified the Republican Party is. Let's go listen.
I think a win is a win for Trump. And one of the most important things is this actual New Hampshire primary, even though it's a GOP primary, is effectively like a general election model. And I'll tell you why. For the first time in history, what we're seeing right now, if the exit poll and other numbers are to be believed, for the first time in history, we have more Democrats and independents voting in a GOP primary than actual Republicans. And so that means this is effectively a general election testing ground. Many of those Haley voters saying they would vote for Biden in a general election. So in this case, I think a win is a win for Trump. And if he wins by a reasonable margin, that predicts a landslide in November. So this isn't an ordinary, excuse me, Republican primary. This is actually a test for the general election, and I think that Trump is going to come out with flying colors tonight.
Speaking of general election, you were among the former rivals to Trump who are standing with him on stage this weekend. How unified do you think the Republican Party is right now, and is it unified enough for GOP to win in November?
I think with the exception of Nikki Haley and a small number of her ilk, this party is already unified, and that's actually the message that we're seeing from the primary electorate across the country. There is a fringe of the party that has been propped up artificially by the influence of mega dollars in the Republican Party that does not represent the will of the electorate. But I think that that's already clear as day. What we're really seeing right now from Nikki Haley is effectively she's given President Trump a matchup that looks like what he's going to face against Joe Biden. And so I think whatever we see tonight, I think it's a good prediction of what we can expect to see in the general election, given that you have more Democrats and independents voting in this GOP primary than Republicans. That's more like a general election matchup. And so that's what I think makes tonight particularly interesting. And so I think any win for Donald Trump is a win. Anytime where he comes ahead, if he comes ahead, it's a model of what we're going to see in the general election. And I think what we're going to see is a decisive margin that predicts what we're going to see in November.
I actually also asked Vivek Ramaswamy what his plan is, of course, amid this 2024 election year. He told me that for the next few months, he's going to focus on helping Trump to become the next president. He also told me that it's not about his or really Trump's career. It's about the future of this country. He says whatever role he will play next that will help revive this country, he will do it. So a lot of possibilities opening up right now. As Trump, as we heard just tonight, Trump called Vivek perfect at one point. He also has said previously that Vivek will have a bright future. So let's see whether in the coming weeks or months that former President Trump will announce his VP pick. Back to you.
Iris, thank you for that. And now back to our panel. Back with us is Mayor Christine Serrano-Glasner. She's of Mendon Borough, New Jersey, and a U.S. Senate candidate. And of course, Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, former Republican presidential campaign advisor and a former New Jersey gubernatorial candidate. Good to have you both back with us. Now, if we can, let's bring up the top GOP candidates map. Of course, there's just Nikki Haley and Trump tonight, just to see how those numbers are doing and how much of the vote is in, if we have that. Because we are seeing the numbers slightly closer than what the polls have been saying, but Trump does still have a pretty commanding lead. There we have it. This is with 63% of the vote in. Trump is at 53% and Nikki Haley at 44%. Now, what do you make of the moderates that were voting in this, that we just heard Vivek Ramaswamy pointing out that it's more like a general election matchup? How do you see that fitting in, Mayor?
I see that because, and he's right,
the feeling and the fervor out there, right? People are really getting excited about what's going on. They have in the past, but not as much as now because of what has been going on for the last 3 years with this administration and how it's impacted people. They're looking for some kind of relief. This is all about the people. It's all about the American voter. And without a doubt, you know, they're looking to make some changes. And that's what he's talking about. Everybody, not just Republicans, this is way beyond Republicans, because everybody has been impacted by this economy and by all of the poor planning on the part of the Biden administration.
And some have been pointing out to Trump supporters that they're not just supporters, he's inspired a whole movement. What do you see playing into that? What inspired this showing that we're seeing across the nation?
The message that Donald Trump has given the American people from day one. It's a message of hope. It's a message with a vision. It's a message of the future. The other candidates, to be frank with you, haven't given that type of message, Republican and Democrat. And Donald Trump's message is not only for the hearing of Republicans, it's for Democrats, independents, Americans. And they're beginning to realize that this is the guy that's going to lead us into the future. Peace and prosperity. That's what they're looking for in stability. It's his message.
On that note, Trump used to be a Democrat. I think when he was running in 2016, Megyn Kelly was like, how long have you been a Republican? Because he was really standing out against the established Republican Party, especially on policies like the border, trade, foreign policy. How do you see that aspect playing in? Because Trump really did bring in so many moderates, independents, even many Democrats, and people who didn't vote for 30 years came out to vote for him. Has that message stayed consistent since 2016?
Well, two other guys I know were Democrats before they became Republicans. One was Ronald Reagan, and another was Steve Rogers. And the fact of the matter is that those of us who were Democrats during the JFK days saw a charismatic leader in John F. Kennedy. But after Kennedy, things started to go downward and came along Ronald Reagan. And he excited the people. He brought hope to the people, a future. Reagan's gone, well, we slide back in, and who shows up? Donald Trump. And he gives that same consistent message. You got to remember one thing about President Trump. He hasn't wavered one bit on his message of hope, peace, prosperity, and security for the American people. That's why you have that reaction to it.
And Mayor, do you agree with Captain America's statement here?
Captain America knows best, absolutely. You know, what's interesting about tonight is it is this continuation and it's building. And the momentum is building, and you can feel it. I wish Nikki Haley would go ahead and make the decision because it's going to be painful to watch this play out. Robin said before, earlier in this program, that the money means something. With the money that she has in her war chest, it's really not enough for a path to victory. This is what we need. We need everybody to coalesce around, and we need Donald Trump, President Trump's message to have an opportunity to grow so that people can see exactly what it is the future is going to bring and how the economy can be improved. He said it himself, drill, baby, drill. That's step number one.
Mayor, I want to shift gears to something that the former president alluded to and pointed out in his victory speech here tonight, which is the issue of election integrity. And when you look at what happened with the Democrats in this primary, you know, one might, you know, there's a lot of questions, I think, that are still going to be told as the numbers come in for the Democrat side of things tonight. One of which is, you know, when you do not have President Biden on the ballot, he's a write-in candidate. That means the traditional way of tabulating the votes is thrown out the window. And all of those write-ins are ballots that need to be counted by hand, which opens things up to questionable activity. You know, the more touches there are, the more, you know, fraught with fraud things could potentially be. Does this ultimately shine light on some of the Democrat practices and hurt them and cause some skepticism moving into the general election?
I don't think it does amongst Democrats because they just do what they're told. This is indicative of the way they do business. That's even what Bob Menendez said. This is how we do business. You know, election integrity means that people should have that open opportunity to vote. And that's not what they did. They manipulated this whole process. The Republicans didn't do that. Donald Trump didn't do that. None of the candidates did that on the Republican side. Everybody had the same opportunity that they've had in the past, but not this time. They rearranged everything to ensure that Biden would win. because obviously he must not have been able to win on his own. And it's become very apparent.
And we'll be right back with more coverage after this very short break.
Do you feel the bills getting higher and higher every time you check out at the supermarket? Do you feel your monthly discretionary money has decreased, although your income increases yearly? Inflation is eating away at your wealth. Digital wallets and central bank digital currencies are destroying financial privatization. Only gold and silver are constitutional forms of money. Our privacy was to be protected against unlawful search and seizure. Midas Gold Group will help you take control of your finances and protect your wealth and your privacy. Pulling money out of the corrupt banking and investment system is a way to privatize your finances as the elite push us towards digital wallets and central bank digital currency. Protect your wealth with real money. Deal with the best. Midas Gold Group, a proud America First company. MidasGoldGroup.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Hi, everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have live agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin with us in the Help Center. So Tom, phones are really busy over there. Tell us what kind of calls you're seeing.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the call center with you. We always enjoy talking to the viewers and getting folks the compensation that they deserve. You know, we're seeing calls about all kinds of accidents, but the most common by far has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You'll speak with a live person. They'll answer any questions you have and tell you if you have a case and how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Take advantage of this opportunity and
welcome back to The Nation Decides 2024, our special coverage of the New Hampshire primary. We're joined by Mayor Christine Serrano-Glasner and Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. Lieutenant, let's continue our discussion about election integrity. Moving forward, you know, we have a lot of elections. It's refreshing to see the results coming in the night of tonight in the Republican primary. But there's been some, you know, things that aren't necessarily conventional that we're seeing with the Democrats in their primaries. How reassuring is that, not just to Republicans, but also to the Democrats out there, which there are many that really value our democratic process?
Well, it's not reassuring at all, and it adds to the idea that the American people feel that these are rigged elections. Look, I've shared with people all over the country, we can't change the past. You know, the past anchors us down, keeps us back from moving forward. But moving forward, our Congress has to start moving. We have to require voter ID. I think when a person goes to the polls, they got to show their picture. They got to show where they live, how long they live there. There's nothing wrong with that. And then as a result of that, you could count legitimate votes. Look, I remember JFK and Richard Nixon. It was a tie all the way up to the last minute, and all of a sudden, Cook County, Illinois, under Mayor Richard Daley comes in, overwhelming for JFK. And JFK only won by a few votes, you know, a few thousand votes. So this is nothing new. Imagine that. We haven't been able to change things since 1960s. Well, it's time we do that.
Mayor, you're an elected official. I'm sure this is somewhat personal to you. What do you think the broader implications are for, this isn't a Republican-Democrat issue. The Democrats in New Hampshire are outraged by what happened.
They should be outraged. I mean, they should have the opportunity to vote the way they've always voted. I've said before, this was a manipulation of the system just to benefit Joe Biden because he could not win organically. There are problems with our voting system. We know that and we've seen it. I can tell you in my own county, I think 2 cycles ago, there was a 128-year-old woman that voted. We know a 128-year-old woman didn't vote. That shows you there's a problem. There's a problem with the system. There's often problems with the machines. We've had that in New Jersey. New machines, they didn't work. The lines were so long, right? People were upset. And what did they do? They started to leave and not vote. That's what ends up happening. You talk about low voter numbers, it's because people don't trust the system. They've got to stop the manipulation on the Democrat side because we're not doing it on the Republican side.
Expanding on that, Marianne Williamson, one of President Biden's few challengers that was tonight in New Hampshire, she's been saying about the DNC rule changes that the nominee is not anointed, sounding like, you know, back to the monarchy with a king. How do you see that playing into voter turnout?
I think that what that does is it discourages people and they decide to stay home. We've seen that in New Jersey. We have a hard enough time getting our voters out in New Jersey. They need to know that the process is real and they need to know that their vote actually matters, that it counts. I think if people felt that, if there was trust returned to the system, people would get out and vote and they wouldn't question it.
And Lieutenant, same question to you on the point about the nominees being anointed, quote unquote. How do you see that playing in potentially in terms of the general election in November?
It discourages people from going out and voting. You talk about anointing. When I hear within an hour in a general election that the stations, the news stations on the East Coast call an election when half the country didn't even go vote, they're going to say, why am I going to go vote? You know, they've already anointed, all right, someone. So we have a lot of reform to do in this country with regard to our elections to make it fair. And as Christine said, to let people know that their vote counts. Right now, a lot of people don't believe their vote counts. But I got to tell you, it does, especially coming up in November of this year.
And what are the changes that we would need to see so that that trust is returned to the public?
Well, like I said before, you need voter ID. We have to know who's coming to the polls. I want to see somebody's picture to make sure that's the person that's voting. Let's find out how long have they lived at the address they say they lived at. And especially in primaries, do we have independents, Republicans voting in a Republican primary? Do we have Democrats who 6 weeks ago or a week ago changed their affiliation? So those are the reforms we need to make.
Let's take a look at the numbers as they continue to come in here. The top 2 candidates on the GOP side. We have 68, almost 70% of the votes in. Looks like there's a little bit of separation now being created. We're at about 7.5 to 8.5. Now you're looking at about a 10-point spread here with former President Trump, 70% roughly in. So with these numbers in mind, with everything that we've seen tonight with Senator Tim Scott and others on stage with former President Trump, what does this New Hampshire primary tell us about the current state of the Republican Party?
Well, hopefully what this tells us is that the Republican Party is coming together. That's what we need to see. We do not need the divisions that we saw in 2016 that continued and really did some damage to the country because they did damage to the Trump administration. We need folks to stop the shenanigans and come together. Tonight was an historic night for President Trump. It really was. I said it before, he is the first candidate in history to win 3 New Hampshire primaries. He's also the first non-incumbent to win both Iowa and New Hampshire. People need to pay attention to that. That is the voter that spoke. And so all of the Republicans that were, frankly, anti-Trumpers in the past, they need to stop. They need to analyze, they need to ask themselves, why did they feel that way? If it had to do with tweets, well, guess what? He's really changing that dynamic. And they need to, realize that he wants peace and prosperity. He said it himself. Living well is the best revenge. He's not interested in revenge for any of this that's gone on, Russiagate, any of it. He wants the best for the country, and I hope people really listen to that.
Right now we're going to bring it over to NTD's Dave Martin, who's over at the Data Hub, to check in with Dave. Dave, what do you got?
Welcome back. Well, you know, the night is almost done, but let's look at the 3 most populous cities again, starting with Manchester here. This is a population 115,000 here. As you can see, 84% again is in Trump with a lead of 15% over Haley. Now let's look at Nashua. This is the second most populous at 90,000. That is Hudson, that is not. This is Nashua. 70% of the votes have been counted. Trump is a 7-point lead over Haley right here. 70% of the votes are in. Let's go over also to the capital. This is Concord. Now this one, Haley, of course, she has got this one here. 99% of the votes have been counted. She's got a 7-point lead over Trump. Now that's a reversal of 2016. Trump had actually won this one by 6 points, and this is where Tim Scott actually endorsed Trump, but for whatever reason, she won it this time around. Anyway, I think that's it for the data for the tonight. Let's go back to the desk with Steve and Tiff.
Dave Martin, really appreciate the update. And back in studio here, Lieutenant Rogers, just to continue our discussion, after seeing the way things played out this evening, how do you feel? What is the state of the Republican Party in your eyes?
Well, under the new leadership, the new vision that Donald Trump is giving to us, I believe that it'll get better. But I'm not happy. I'm not happy with the Republican Congress that I happened to help get elected to office, as I'm sure the mayor did. Investigation after investigation after investigation, nothing being done. Get me 12 New York City police officers from this city in the Detective Bureau, and they'll be able to get indictments within 60 days. My point is this: they got to start moving forward. Start feeding the American people what they need. They need money in their bank accounts. They need food on the table. They need freedom, liberty, and individual rights. We need to move ahead as one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We mentioned how no non-incumbent has ever won both Iowa and New Hampshire. Now, how much do voters care about that kind of history and precedent? Will that actually make people go to the polls?
I don't know that voters pay attention to that sort of thing. Certainly on a night like tonight, we're paying attention to it because it just adds to the excitement to see that there were some records broken. I think that people will pay attention because, he has won 2 in a row. He's going to win Nevada. He's going to win South Carolina, Nikki Haley's state. And in doing that, that's really going to get people excited and get people to start coming out and realizing they've got to get out and vote. We were talking about New Jersey before, Steve, right? Captain America.
Yeah.
And we've got to see people. We've got to see the Republicans in New Jersey come out to vote. People like to say New Jersey is a blue state, but it's not a stupid state. They're suffering there too, especially the working class and small business owners are really suffering from this economy. And so change is only going to happen if we change at the top.
And one more thing, speaking about New Jersey, since we're from Jersey, thank you for not asking us what exit that we live off it. So I appreciate it very much.
Actually, on that note, we saw former Governor Sununu endorsing Nikki Haley. Now, what does this say in terms of how much impact local politics or political figures have in terms of the outcomes of elections? We're seeing Nikki Haley not doing that well tonight, kind of similar to what polls are showing, but how much did, say, Sununu's endorsement play or not play into it?
I tell you, I believe, based on what I've seen, that when we speak local, we're talking about grassroots people from Main Street. I think the local mayors, like the mayor here, has a lot of sway with our voters. She's out there day in and day out with the people. Governors aren't, senators aren't. I haven't seen my congresswoman in all the years she's been in office, although I get a lot of mail now because she's running. But my point is this, is that when you speak about local influence, it's from mayors like the mayor that's sitting across from this table. They're out there working hard. When I was in office, I did the same exact thing. I went door to door, met people, shook their hands, and everything turned out okay.
And on that note, we'll be right back after a very short break. Don't go away.
The highest art is beautiful, breathtaking, timeless, and moving. Experience art with 5,000 years of history. In inspired by the divine. Experience Hampshire.
As we naturally age, many people are getting zero amount of this incredible and unique substance. That's when we start seeing an impact in our joints, skin, nails, and even our digestion.
People ask me, Dr. X, what is the #1 supplement I should be taking? My answer is multi-collagen protein.
People's reactions to me, people were like, what are you doing? What is going on? You look amazing. You have a glow about you.
What makes Ancient Nutrition Multi-Collagen stand out from other brands? 10 types of collagen. It's grass-fed, pasture-raised with vitamin C and probiotics. It's proven to reduce exercise-induced joint discomfort as early as day 1 and reduce joint discomfort rapidly, continuously, and persistently. It improves the appearance of crow's feet after 4 weeks and improves skin tone after 8 weeks. And it promotes hair thickness, growth, and a reduction in hair breakage.
It has transformed everything from my hair. Like, my hair was starting to kind of just, come out, and I don't have that anymore. My skin feels amazing.
Call the number on your screen and find out how to get a free bottle when you order, plus free shipping and our 30-day money-back guarantee. And as a bonus, we will include Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin's revolutionary book, Multi-Collagen Makeover, free with your order, plus free shipping and free returns.
I have implicit trust in Dr. Axe because the plan worked. I'm living proof of it.
This is the collagen protein that is backed by clinical studies. It's what my family uses, it's what I use, and I know you're gonna benefit in a big way as well.
Love the results or get your money back. This special TV offer is not available in stores. Call the number on your screen or go online now.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane! Woo! You got this!
And we're back with more live coverage of the New Hampshire primary on The Nation Decides. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meyer.
Let's turn our attention now to our guest, Robin Byro, former Obama Regional Campaign Director and Democratic strategist, and Roger Simon, author of American Refugees and Epoch Times columnist. Robin, as we look at these numbers here, they've shifted a bit. Trump at 54.5, with Nikki at 43, over 10% spread now. What do you make of this? As in the beginning of our discussion, we were saying, 5%, 6%, even 7%. Nikki was within that realm of staying where she wanted to be. Now we're seeing the numbers jump.
Steve, I had my concerns, and at the beginning of the discussion tonight, I said it was going to be around 7%, and it's not. It's a wider spread than that. So I reached out to, one thing about campaign staffers, I'm Obama staff, we know each other, it's a small world, we stick together. So I texted a Nikki Haley campaign staffer and got her thoughts, and they said they're down but not out. She's got a lot of states to go. She's got a lot of money in the bank. And what they want to reiterate tonight that New Hampshire is a delegate state. So she's still walking away with a sizable chunk of delegates. And that's a good point, I think.
Well, I would ask you to text her back, although it's kind of rude. Which states does she think she has a chance at?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think it's a long list.
We are seeing her do pretty well in terms of the moderates, and there's a lot of college towns in New Hampshire. I guess to the staffer's point, right? They're basically walking away with kind of what the Nikki Haley campaign wanted. In terms of the money, though, you're talking about earlier about the funds drying up eventually. How long is eventually?
Soon. You're talking about $7 million. That's She's got to ride out the clock on that, but she's hoping to get more. It's always about getting more donations. She's hoping tonight with a strong finish that she'll get more donations, but frankly, she's got to court the never Trump people. And she's got to go after them hardcore by going after Trump a little bit more. She's been talking, I saw her interviews today all over the media, and she was talking out of both sides of her mouth. She'll say, oh no, he's fit to be president, but he's too old. But she's got to give more stronger attacks if she wants to get the money that's going to come in from those moderates. Because like I said, she's getting about 71% of the support now from moderates. Those are people who are not really that happy.
Would you call the never Trump people moderates? I think they're just angry. But I know a lot.
That's politics today. Who isn't angry?
But
last I checked before the broadcast, to the point of spending, Nikki had I believe it was a $4 million investment in a TV campaign in South Carolina. So surely with that kind of money, she thinks that it's worth spending some money there.
Yeah, if she doesn't spend it there, she's not going to spend it anywhere. But the numbers in South Carolina for her look terrible. I've spent quite a bit of time recently in South Carolina. I was just at the Charleston meeting talking about my book, and I got to know a lot of the Republicans down there, and they're pretty much Trump people.
I want to say something. When the campaigns die for pretty much one reason, they run out of money.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Ron DeSantis. When Nikki Haley runs out of money, there is no viable future for her.
On that note, let's actually go to our reporter on the ground in New Hampshire, Iris Tao, who is at the Trump Watch Party in Nashua, New Hampshire. Iris, what do you have for us?
Good evening to all of you. So as you can see, this room is pretty much empty right now after Trump's watch party is now over. And meanwhile, looking ahead to what Trump is doing in the coming days, Trump is expected to be back in the courtroom in New York tomorrow on Wednesday in a court proceeding involving former magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll. Trump is expected to testify himself in that courtroom. And he's going actually to also campaign in Las Vegas, Nevada this upcoming weekend on Saturday, where the Republican Party there is running a caucus on February 6th, which is about just in 2 weeks from now. And Trump is really continuing to toggle between the campaign trail and the courtroom here. But while Trump, as we heard tonight, is already projecting his victory in Nevada, Nikki Haley is focusing more on the next stop after Nevada, which is South Carolina. And Trump, meanwhile, saying he's confident he's going to go on to win both Nevada and South Carolina, and of course, go on to win the nomination. Back to you.
Iris, thank you for that update, and thank you for staying out there at the watch party, even though it looks like everyone else has left. Now back to our panel here with our guests. On the note of the money running out, how do you see Nikki Haley dealing with this? Is she going to just stay all in until the money runs out, or will she leave potentially before that? Will she get more donations?
Well, years ago, some people asked me if I'd run for Congress in California when I was for a seat that was a Republican seat, so I might have won. And the reason I didn't do it is because I would be spending the rest of my life asking for money. And this is primarily, as Democrat, Republican, Independent, that's what they do. That's what they do all day long. It's it's one of the really bad things about our culture, because you wish they would be dealing with legislation, policy, foreign policy, all the things that you would think this is all about, but it's the search for money all the time. So the answer to your question is, I bet you, I don't know Nikki Haley, I've met her, but I don't know her, that she's on the phone right now. Looking for money.
I guarantee you she's on that, making the calls for more donations. She has to if she wants to be viable. And like I said, she's got to capitalize on tonight. It was a respectable finish, but not the finish she needs to draw on the big dollar donations that she needs, really.
Speaking of the money, Nikki's actually come under fire for taking money from prominent Democrats. I think you mentioned that earlier. I want to talk to you about the tit for tat that former President Trump and Nikki Haley have been going at each other, both calling each other the establishment, candidate. You know, Trump says she's a neocon. She says that, you know, just look at all of the endorsements from Trump with all of the members of Congress from her state. So who is the establishment candidate?
Yeah, that's a really tricky question.
It is.
The part that gets me, though, is what Nikki Haley comes under criticism for the most is for being a warmonger. And the reason that we would not be having that discussion had President Trump not put her in as UN ambassador. That would never even be considered. I think he strategically did that. He thinks a few steps ahead, though, because they're using that against her very effectively now, calling her a warmonger. We'd never have had that conversation had she just been governor of South Carolina.
Well, you know, I think you're right about it, but I don't think he was thinking those steps ahead. The reason is, I think she was good as the UN ambassador, by the way. I think she did a good job. But I think the greatest weakness that Trump had in his first administration was he made so many errors in selection of people. And he sort of admits that. So, no, I don't think he was thinking in that kind of three-dimensional chess then, but he might be now. I don't know. That's different.
And that does conclude our first primary of the year.
We'll be covering more of this election cycle here on The Nation Decides 2024. Super Tuesday's not too far away.
I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meyer.
Until next time, and good night.